thing. Okay, we're live now. I'm pretty sure we're live now. Okay, we're live now. Yeah. So hey everyone, we've been talking for 10 minutes all by ourselves because I'm retarded. I was gonna say we are retarded. No, I fucked everything up. But hey, how's it going? How is Chad doing? That was a good way to start the stream. Marcus, you
Like,
colossal failure of a YouTuber. Thanks, friend. Um, yeah, sometimes I hate myself. That's cool. But hey, everyone, what's up? Yeah, Zod's first appearance on ECUM. Say hi, Zod.
hi again.
Yeah, again, yeah. This is. Oh, uh, okay. Uh, yeah. SK. If it weren't for your tweet, I wouldn't have found out that we weren't live. So we were just gonna stream the entire thing, probably just thinking that we were. So, yeah. For fuck's sake. Anyway, we're live. That's cool. Uh, I guess. I guess if you want to talk about the Gina Carano stuff again, Jeff.
Yay! Right, yeah. So, as probably everyone knows, Carano got yeeted by Disney, in part to the cancel culture and the controversies that have been happening. And I think the main takeaway from it is a lot of people are seeing this as a political decision, in where they think it's, oh, because she's right leaning, she is gone. When that's the wrong perspective to have. It should be from a financial point of view, because all businesses are governed by what makes the most profit. Now, Gina has now had multiple controversies from the pronouns, the anti-mask, the election fraud statement, and especially this. Now, when you have 4 controversies on you and you keep going and getting worse, you're affecting Disney's bottom line. And you're not just affecting any bottom line, you're affecting the most profitable aspect of Star Wars right now. So it's actually understandable why she got fired, even though I don't support her getting fired. If it was for right-leaning reasons, she would have been gone ages ago, because she's actually been quite open about her politics. And if
Didn't
it
she come
was
out as like
for
a Trump supporter a while back?
I'm not 100% sure, but I wouldn't be surprised. I know she's been open conservative, which is kind of going against their point. And I'm just seeing a lot, especially in the fandom menace, the hypocrisy of the situation. The main thing being is you go for years having the issue of being labelled as Nazis, and that's fine. I can understand that. But don't do that to the left. Don't compare this to Nazi times when it's not. Like, Gina's just been fired from a role. She can still do active roles. She's showing that. And right-leaning people are still in Hollywood, like your Arnold Schwarzenegger, like your James Wood, and so forth. Like, calm down.
Yeah, just the aspect that they didn't fire Chris Pratt after he told everyone like he's very openly right leaning, or at least I'm pretty sure he was wearing like a "Don't Tread on Me" shirt, which is like, yeah, and that there was a bit of controversy around that, and there is controversy somewhat around the fact that he is he's part of a church that there's like some retarded views in terms of LGBT rights, but like he continues to have his job at Disney because of how profitable he is to them, and how like the controversy surrounding him is way too small to matter about that, because it's like the money he makes in terms of just Guardians of the Galaxy alone is enough for them to keep him, especially when James Gunn is what makes those films so profitable, so successful, and James Gunn and Chris Pratt working together and everything is like match made in heaven, and they realize that because it's like everyone sees Chris Pratt's charisma in the Marvel film, so that's why they don't fire him instead of firing Gina Carano. And why would they fire Gina Carano? And like basically the same thing as James Gunn, like why they did fire James Gunn, but they rehired him because they realized that they would lose too much money to make it worth it in the end. So yeah, Disney they're making a business decision. It's a political statement to say every right leaning person has no place in Hollywood, because that's just retarded.
Yeah, I mean, to even further prove that, we got two situations with Disney that one shows like further hypocrisy, I guess, of the Phantom Menace, or at least their standards are a bit weird, and the second being very unknown about. If they were left leaning, they wouldn't hire Rosario Dawson because a big association with left leaning is LGBT rights. Now, why would you hire someone who had a lawsuit against them for trans rights? I'm not sure the situation now, but I know they had, and they hired her simply because she was a fan favorite to Cars, and the controversy was kept quiet. She kept that quiet. And then the second instance is Mulan. They filmed near the camps for I can't remember how you pronounce it or even say it, but for Muslims in China. And because that didn't start enough controversy, they continued. And I find it amusing the Phantom Menace didn't cancel Disney Plus over that, despite also being against China a lot. But they now do over Gina, and I'm like, guys, you've got a human rights issue, you're not doing it over, but you're doing it over this, an understandable business decision.
Yeah, and it's not even like against freedom of speech because like what Disney did, because like freedom of speech doesn't mean it's like freedom of consequence, and especially when it's like a company doing this instead of like the government censoring. If a company does this, they're allowed to do it. They're allowed to like fire someone for whatever reason they like. Yeah, this is like a very libertarian view that I hold, but most people, they're like, if they're so for freedom of speech, I find it really weird that they're just like, oh, Gina, her being fired is like the last straw. Let's all cancel Disney Plus. It's like very hypocritical to do that over Gina instead of doing over the China concentration camps and whatnot.
Yeah, and I'm like, let's face reality of the situation. They're going cancel culture about Gina. They're going about people keep going after Gina, and that's what I want to make clear, rather than all of the firing. We have seen the Phantom Menace, mainly with Brie Larson, keep going at her for whether it's warranted reasons or unwarranted, like the casting situation. And I think, let's face it, if Brie got fired, they'd be happy about that. They were happy about Kathleen Kennedy being fired for injecting politics into Star Wars, so they're quite similar. So it's like, you've got this hypocrisy existing with you guys, and that's why no one can really get behind your cause.
Yeah, and it's like there's also a big difference that going back to the Rosario Dawson comparison that a friend brought in chat and I wanted to mention, where it's like Rosario Dawson, she like made a comment and like I don't know, I've heard that it was taken out of context. I don't really care, to be honest. But like she just dropped it. Gina, she always keeps doubling down. She says it all the time on her social media about shit like this. And it's just like there's a big difference. Like she was continuing to cause problems for Disney in terms of brand recognition and everything because it would be associated with this person that all the time is just like being talked about on online about her controversies and everything. So that isn't helpful to Disney. But Rosario Dawson, she's a known actress. People like and like people, the target audience for Star Wars as well is pretty much like I don't know if I'd say the same, but it's pretty similar to the Netflix, the Marvel stuff as well. So like the Marvel Netflix stuff, Rosario Dawson was a part of literally every single show. So it's like, yeah, you have this audience you're gonna bring in. Like it is a very profitable decision. Not only that, but also Rosario Dawson is a good actress. She's been in a lot of stuff like Tarantino films and whatnot. Gina Carano is just like she's nothing. Like her most recognizable role is Fast and Furious 6. So like there's a huge difference between all the other situations people compare to Gina, but like I think people just get tunnel vision because they like what Gina's saying, and just, instead of like what other people or what these other people are saying, which I find like some really big double standards by like the fandom menace.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say Gina's most recognizable role is Deadpool, personally, because
Which wasn't Deadpool?
Yeah, she's what's her name? She works with Francis.
Oh yeah, that's her. Oh yeah.
Angel.
I think I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
But the big question I've got for the fandom menace right now is, you have been going on for a while on the rumors that Favreau and Filoni have creative control over Lucasfilm, and Kennedy's being next to Dell. So would this mean, therefore, Favreau and Filoni pulled the trigger on this because you're blaming Lucasfilm, or is it now Kennedy again? Which is it?
Yeah, and like if you say it's Kathleen Kennedy's fault, then by that logic, she is that contradicts what they've been saying for a while now. Which like I don't really follow a lot of the Fandom Menace people, but like the Critical Drinker, I've seen his War at Lucasfilm video, which is fucking retarded as well, and like his stances on the situation, they really seem contradictory to what he said in terms of how Kathleen Kennedy's being ousted and that she doesn't really have any control anymore, and it's all being given to Filoni and Favreau. And it's like, well, if Gina is being fired, is it on those two or is it on someone else? Like, it's I don't know. I find it really weird how the Fandom Menace just accepts that hypocrisy of themselves just because they like Gina Carano and the fact that, like, I don't know, she's right leaning.
Yeah, it's a baffling situation, and I think right now a lot of people are going a bit too far and jumping the gun on everything.
Yeah, pretty much.
And I want to make clear, I like some members of the Fandom Menace. I actually like Hills vs Babyface, Mark the Cyborg, and such, and I think they're probably good people in my life. Excluding Mark from this, but for example, Hills vs Babyface, when he's comparing this to 1930s Germany, I'm like, you're exaggerating the situation to try and do what is essentially propaganda to fit your views. I don't think you actually have these principles, because if it applied to Brie, Kathleen Kennedy and so forth, they would break, because it benefits you. And maybe that's a presumptuous comment, but that's based on the facts we have currently.
Yeah, pretty much. Is there anything else to talk about in this situation, or are we ready to move on to the next topic?
I've got nothing to add.
Yeah, I got nothing. Aside from, fuck cancel culture, to be honest.
Yeah.
I like it as a cancer.
Yeah, exactly. Okay then, so the next topic, this is the last topic before we get to the Filmento videos, so bear with us. But so do you guys know this little place called Twitter? It's like social media site or something like that. It's pretty neat. I mean, I think, but I think they don't like people called Jeb. I don't know. It just seems weird to me. But anyway, talking was spending some time there chatting with a few people, and I saw like this person called the Fandalorian. He was replying to someone that may or may not be in this call, and it was quite interesting what he was saying. Who actually started the situation? I guess Zod, if you want to, like, I don't know, recap or something, because like I think it started from your tweet. So
Yeah, here we go. Basically, I saw a tweet from Nerdrotic, basically quoting Lord of the Rings. To sort of, I don't know, show support or whatever. And I thought it was a little bit cringe. So I decided to quote tweet it. And I mentioned the fact that he has a family. A wife and children. And, to show that this is a man who's supposed to be acting mature and he's acting like a child, basically. And somebody took issue with that.
Basically, you said that they're Gary's children and wife, they exist, and Fandalorian got a bit upset over that, like you invoking the children.
You're harassing him.
Yeah, you're freaking harassing Gary because you wanted to shut him up. But I don't know. So I jumped into the thread because Fandalorian was being retarded, and as well as Southpaw also jumped into it, and it was quite interesting to talk to him, seeing that he was saying that it was harassment from Zod's part in terms of just like that tweet was harassment towards Gary And then when I said, well, it's not harassment, and I showed him the definition, he was like, so you're saying it's not harassment because it's not a continuous action? I'm like, well, yeah, that's the definition. I'm sorry.
What the fuck?
I think
Go
I
on.
think my favourite bit during it was how he was always trying to go, "Oh, Gary's being specifically targeted," and I'm like, dude, does Zod maybe not have seen Anna's tweet? I mean, Southpaw said he hadn't seen Anna's tweet, so I'm like, Zod's not going to. And also, the day before, Zod made a general tweet about anyone involved, which included them, and Fando shat on that as well. I I don't know what he wants.
Yeah, he's like, oh, so why didn't you harass Anna as well? You're just harassing Gary, and it's like, well, so it's just it's such so like because like when you look at his tweets separately, they're retarded, but not too retarded. But when you put the entire thread together, the like 2 or 3 threads, I don't know, he went on for all day yesterday and then today as well when I woke up, and then he blocked us, which was funny. But he's just like the context makes everything he says worse because he's like, oh, so you're harassing Gary, and it's like then he moves on to being like, oh, so why did you just single out Gary, when it's like, well, Zod just quote tweeted a tweet on his timeline, like it's not that big of a deal, but sure. So it's like, so why didn't you quote tweet Anna and her art, and it's like, it's not the same thing, like or like, do you want by your own words Zod to harass Anna as well, which is dumb. And it's also like Anna drew some art, and like I can understand her like the way she's been towards Gina Carano is way less pathetic than the way Gary or most of the fandom menace has been. She's just like showing support and everything. She's not being like cringe as fuck, which is like there's also a very big distinction between all these situations. So I don't know. It's again weird, but yeah, he's just funny because it was like, oh, so he's showing support towards actors immature now, and then he made fun of Zod's profile picture because Zod shows support towards a fictional character from a girl's from like a little girl movie, and it's like, well, he doesn't show support. He likes this character. Like, I really don't understand.
Yeah, and what made me laugh when he continued it today after going on this whole "you're psychotic, you're harassing" stuff, he mentions it on EFAP, and then he did the tweets today. And we were trying to explain to him, look, we don't have issue with you insulting someone, but we have issue where you're playing moral high ground, then doing it, and then still holding that moral high ground position. And he was like, yeah, I'm proving my point here. I'm like, no, you're proving you're fucking retarded. That's all you're doing here. Like, you're not understanding like the basic logic, because you're too far up in politics right now, and probably anger because your sacred cows got insulted, to even acknowledge any other viewpoint. Because also when we kept going, this isn't because of strictly politics, it's because it's controversy. If you swapped it out, as we show with James Gunn, the fact that Rosario Dawson didn't get fired, the fact there's other reps, was again that either. Because again, he's so narrow-minded on this viewpoint, and I feel like he actually thinks he's going to fucking war with cancel culture right now, like Gary does. I think he thinks he's part of the Lord of the Rings group.
Yeah.
Like, I can't. And then he was going, so this is the same guy who criticised At on the subs count. Fair enough. I did the same. But then against us, he decided to use the fact that we get 20 people live, and that we're apparently small and he doesn't care. And then we tried pointing that out, and he's like, what about ism? And it's like, no, you're being a hypocrite. You're placing these moral high grounds that you can't fit to. You fucking idiot. I don't know what you're not getting about this. And then there was, Zod mentioned, oh, we're covering you. And he was like, oh, it's the irony of you being insecure about your voices. And I'm like, what? So I got Tin to say, okay, let's have a voice chat then. You know, if you want to talk like that. No, he dodged that. Because why would he? he's a fucking coward. He like keeps changing his standards to suit his argument. Like, I don't know, dude. Oh, and then he played victim tactic after he sold people. Now I'm like, mate, fuck off. You're pathetic. Basically, fuck Vandalorian.
Yeah, pretty much. So
Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
what a dick.
yeah, no, he was quite annoying. He was completely misrepresenting us and strawmanning. And I mean, we're just saying this, not showing anything. But if you guys just check my Twitter or Zod's, they're both in the description. Or Tin was involved today as well. It's just you see our replies and everything. You're gonna be able to find his retarded stuff, even though he blocked us, so we can't really see his tweets. But you guys can if you want. It was quite a ride.
I'm not.
Oh, he didn't. Did he not block
Yeah.
you?
Yeah, I don't know why. I'm the one who started it, or now I'm not blocked. Like, what the fuck?
That's weird.
Yeah, and
Maybe.
Like, I only sent
thing
one
is-
tweet today and he blocked me, so I thought he was just blocking everyone involved.
and
Well, apparently not.
I mean, he
what?
did Neb.
He blocked Neb?
What?
Wait, he
Wait,
did?
what?
Didn't he?
I don't
I
think so.
don't- he blocked
I don't think
Clara.
he did.
I don't know about Neb.
Yeah. I know he blocked Kara, but Neb, I'm pretty sure he didn't. Because Neb's tweet was just like, shut up, you stinky. Which is like, I know it's very offensive to a lot of people, but I guess not to Fandalorian. This guy
Okay,
sounds
so
like a
I-
mental patient. Yeah, he's a mental patient, the kind of mind that the Joker attracts. What do you expect to learn from him?
Okay, so Torn has put as if firing for tweets isn't a hot button issue these days, that would also bring controversy to the company. You're right, it will bring controversy as we're seeing now. But the point is that in the levels of controversy, it brings a lot less than keeping that person on, and it won't damage them as much financially. That's the point being made.
Yeah, and like the controversy is going to be a lot smaller than the controversy that already exists surrounding her. Because I don't know if you notice, but the fandom menace is a lot smaller than people seem to think it is. Like their outreach and their relevance and everything, it's not that big. Like genuinely, they're like a really small portion of the community. And sure, I do think they had a hand in having the Mandalorian like exist the way it does, which is I dislike. But it's like TLJ, it fucked with so much. It wasn't just the fandom menace. It was like just like this huge group of people. Like at least I'd say it's fair to argue that half of the people that watched the Last Jedi thought it was shit, and they needed something new that changed from the shit that was TLJ. So like yeah, the fandom menace short. It is influential, really not that influential, or at least as they seem to think. So the controversy that the fandom menace can raise is definitely not as big as the controversy that Gina Carano was raising, because her comments were so stupid that people even outside the Disney Star Wars bubble were hearing about them, because well, she compared right wingers to Jews in during the Holocaust times, which is dumb. So
Yeah, I'm like, I can't believe we actually have to try and go, guys, comparing today to 1930s Nazi Germany isn't a good idea. Like, I can't believe we have to go down this route of, if you did this in your job, you would be fired. I know I would be. So, to act like Pikachu surprise face about it is quite alarming to me. Like, I don't think these people... Okay, that might sound patronising, but I think these people are forgetting about the reality of the world. Because we've also got to consider as well, there is no way Carano didn't get to speak to HR of Disney on the other controversies to calm it down, instead of making it even worse. So, like, she's going against that as well. So... And yes, Pedro Pascal's being Disney are being hypocritical on politics principle, because Pedro has made comparisons. Don't use the Cages one, because that was before he was hired. But the one where he goes losers, which is technically right. Trump did lose 2020, but the point was comparing them. And yeah, hypocritical politics, but you're looking at it from the wrong perspective. Financially, they're actually keeping their standards, and that's what they strive for because they're a business. Simple as that.
Yep. Yeah, Pedro Pascal doesn't cause it nearly as big of a controversy, and not only that, but he's also a good actor that people like actually like him. He's charismatic. I mean, not in Mendo. In Mendo, he's a charisma vacuum. But in other stuff, like if you watch Wonder Woman 84, like he's the only good thing in that film. So it's just like keeping him on is a lot better. Like I said, it's basically the same thing as Chris Pratt. They're keeping him on because like he is profitable for them. Same as Pedro Pascal. He's a good actor for Disney. He brings in people that enjoy his acting, and he's actually talented. While Gina Carano is just, she doesn't act at all. Like I don't even think it's like her fault in Mando that she doesn't act. It's more like the writing and direction that's shit. But still, yeah, it is double standards from Disney, but it is understandable because they're a business and what they're doing, like they're trying to make this financially viable. So yeah, that is a double standard, and like I definitely criticize the fact that Disney is keeping these double standards, but that doesn't mean that they're not like right from a business perspective.
Yeah, and I've seen Torn making stuff like separation of art and artists, and again, I agree, but we got to look from it from a realist point of view. Just because you can doesn't mean the mainstream audience will, and they don't. The reality is they will not, and therefore that is the majority of the audience as well. Therefore, she goes. I mean, for example, Michael Jackson, a lot of things have gone because of accusations. Now, I still enjoy his music, I can separate it, but that doesn't mean everyone else can. And
Yeah,
that's
it's
kind of the sad reality.
yeah, it's like Joker used the Gary Glitter song, and people are like, "Oh, this guy is a pedophile and everything," but it's like the music doesn't like have like the music is just a guitar and Gary Glitter screaming, "Hey!" Like every few seconds. It's like you can't really make a connection between the art and the artist, but like I know that a lot of it can make a lot of people uncomfortable that this like pedophile has a song in like a mainstream film. So like yeah, I can understand that, but the controversy wasn't anywhere near big enough for them to care about it. So again, a business perspective, you have to think these are companies that are like just looking for profit instead of a like they want to keep consistent standards that they actually care about shit. Like they don't care about anything other than making money. It's all basically just they're looking for profit, and they're like a lot of the ways is to make profit is to virtue signal, which is like something that a lot of people criticize him for, and I agree, virtue signaling is fucking retarded, but it's just like all looking from like the bottom line of how much money they're gonna make in the end.
Yeah, and I'm seeing Torn now going, and that's the podcast culture, and I'm like, yeah, I agree. The problem with cancel culture in its application is it's being used in ways that are extreme, unlike, let's say, Harvey Weinstein, where he got cancelled. I feel like you should lose your job when you do commit genuine crime like sexual assault and such. And I would have to elaborate more, but I'm not going to. But the reality is as well, if you're making controversial statements, and let's take J.K. Rowling with the TERF stuff, that is generally harmful for some people to hear and try and cope with. So let's say she was an actress, they would have to let her go because people can't really watch the media that involves her because it causes those triggers, and that means a loss of money, and that means I have to let her go. And if you find her a problem, you find her a problem, but that is the reality of the situation, and therefore it's not because of politics per se, it's because do you generate controversy? And Gina is generating controversy. She could say right wing or Republican or more conservative views without generating controversy. We've seen Arnold Schwarzenegger do it. He was a governor for California from 2003 to 2011. It can be done, and she's choosing not to, and that's ultimately on her, on not understanding the culture itself as well. Disagree should go to jail for committing crime. Yes, obviously, but my point is that's also why you can be fired. Like that got, you know, Torn.
Actually, let me make a comparison. Not every time you go to jail you get fired from your job. There's a very famous case here in Brazil of an ex Flamengo goalkeeper. He was like one of the He was like a very good goalkeeper. He played during the 2009 period where Flamengo was winning everything, like the the Brazilian Football League and everything. So what happened was him and a friend of his killed his wife. Like they cut her up into pieces and fed her to dogs, and he was arrested for it. Now, after a few years, when he was let out of jail, he was hired to play as a goalkeeper for America, the team from like my state. Like he still had a job. He was training in prison for that job. Like if sometimes when you get fired, you're not only sometimes when you go to prison, you're like not fired from your job. So like shit like that happens. So if you're gonna say that people should go to jail, it's not that they should go to jail and they should be fired. It's they're not mutually exclusive.
Yeah, but yeah, it's like people need to understand this is the reality, and look, it's harder to be honest. It is harder to be right leaning on social media, because I'd say the left are more vocal. I think that's a generalization. I don't know, but the reality is it is harder. But that doesn't mean you say this dumb shit that Carano has. Like I think there's a way to be right leaning and not go 1930s Nazi Germany comparison in how hate is being breeded and such.
Yeah, and like if you say that like right leaning people are basically they're basically Jews in the Holocaust time, when like making that comparison, that's really dumb. When like the last 4 years you had Trump as the president and he's right wing. It's like, no, clearly right leaning people have a lot of influence still, and they're not just ousted because they're right leaning. Like, yeah, of course, left wingers are gonna disagree with right wingers, and like it all depends on context and everything. Like, there are some extremists that say that right leaning people should die, and all the articles from like BuzzFeed. I'm not sure if it is BuzzFeed, but it's like, oh, you should bring up the election and during Thanksgiving to like annoy your to your conservative family or whatever. Like that is retarded. But to say that like right wingers are being just they're being chased like Jews, it's dumb as fuck. And like you could like, and if you say that there are extremist left wingers that are saying retarded shit about right wingers, it's also like the same happening from right wingers to left wingers as well. So
yeah, and to go on the point about how much power in this case Republicans have, and I'm also going to use conservatives in this country. The Republican don't have the majority of the Senate, but they have a lot of influence over it, and it is why Trump ultimately didn't get indicted partially, because party bias. Some don't want to, go, this person did illegal stuff. And in this country, we have a landslide majority of conservatives, despite the left being in a similar vein to the US, and the US and UK being very culturally similar. So it's like, I think because of social media, where the left are more vocal and the companies are more left-leaning, it comes across as if being a right-wing or being conservative is very difficult. And I agree on social media it is. But in general life and in actual political systems, conservative seems to dominate more as a principle. I can only list some countries that are more left, New Zealand, South Korea too. But other than that, it's mainly a right-sided world on the spectrum.
Ton, you say, okay, so she was wrong about something, no job for her ever, I guess. That's not what we're saying. Like, we said earlier in the stream that we were against her being fired. That's not the point.
Yeah, Torn, I need to really make this clear for you. One, I've literally gone, I'm against her being fired. I'm against anyone being fired for their political views. I'm a libertarian.
Except like,
Therefore,
except if like their political views is that like Nazi, but yeah,
yeah,
unless it's like
genuine
extreme.
nuts.
Yeah.
Also, I said that I think. Okay, I said that I understand why she should be fired because she generate controversy, lead to a lower bottom line. However, I did also say she's going to get future jobs. We're seeing that now with the Daily Wire stuff. I don't think she should be cancelled forever. I never will. Thank you for apologising, by the way. I just am coming from the point of view as a business, she had to be let go because it's financially unviable. And the business is all about economic growth. That's what they do.
Yeah.
By firing her, they get rid of a ton of goodwill generated from the Mandalorian. See, I disagree. They get rid of some, mainly from the Phantom Menace, obviously. But because the Mandalorian is such a global sensation on a mainstream level, they're going to tune in still. It's, I think, still their most profitable show. I don't know how WandaVision's doing.
WandaVision,
But because
I'm
of
pretty
that-
sure. No, never mind. No, I was gonna mention something I read about Falcon and Winter Soldier that it was like most anticipated show or whatever. But WandaVision, it may be doing like better than Mando. I'm not sure, but Mando is like the most watched streaming show like ever. Which is like very big competition with when you have shit like The Boys and you have Netflix with their big shows as well with like Stranger Things and everything that is like also like very big sensations. But Mando like not everyone loves, but like the mainstream audience loves. So like
Yeah, and the thing as well is that with the amount of fan service they do, they'd have to work very hard to get rid of all that goodwill at this point. You know, stuff like Boba Fett and
yeah.
yeah, like they're starting the
Oh,
Boba
wow.
Fett show and they're making a lot of other shit. Like at this point, no one is gonna care about fucking Cara Dune. like Cara Dune, she's already a nothing character, especially when you especially now that like Gina Carano is leaving. Just write her out of the show. It's not that hard, to be honest.
Yeah, just say she's off doing the Republic missions. Done.
Yeah.
She's a marshal.
Pretty much.
Or somehow Arjun died.
Falcon and Winter Soldier looks amazing. It does, SK. I'm really excited to
Yeah.
watch it, actually. The trailer was fucking awesome. I find it funny the Hughes versus Babyface. It wasn't like as right that he said the trailer looked shit.
Yeah, he did without giving reasons.
Yeah, that's really strange. But yeah, that's a show I'm looking forward to at least. And WandaVision has been not perfect, but good, decent to say at least.
Yeah, it's kept me engaged, and as you people know, I've had a lot of theories that have come true so far. So I'm like, this is fueling my ego.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Yeah, I've enjoyed every episode, but there has been some weird writing in terms of like the stuff outside of Wanda's dream. But other than that, it's been good. But okay, so I guess I guess we're ready to go on to the topic, the main topic. We've been going on for like 15 minutes at this point, but so Avengers, you guys like it, right? The Avengers films.
Me like
One and three, and Endgame I like. I don't like two.
Interesting. What about you, Tin? What do you think of the Avengers movies?
Well, subjectively, I like them all, but the first one is probably the best one. Age of Ultron kind of falls apart a bit. Infinity War, well, you two are kind of experts on that one. And Endgame speaks for itself.
Yeah. What about you, Zod? You've been rewatching them, right? As have you, Tin, haven't you? Watching it with your family?
Yeah, I did. Well, the Avengers films and the Iron Man films, and that's it.
Yeah, you chose the worst franchises to watch. You could just watch the
It's because
Captain America.
my older sister fancies Robert Downey Jr.
Fair enough. I'd say that's a good reason. What about you, Zod?
well, I quite like all of them, but the first one is quite easily the best one.
Yeah.
But the second one has issues, but I don't know. I still found a way to like it somehow. And Infinity War, well, that just seems to be getting more and more broken by the day.
Yeah.
And Endgame is, well, yeah.
Yeah, the thing, I adore all three films, but of course I'd say only Avengers is the only well written one. But like Age of Ultron, I'd say is the second best, which I know it's a very hot take, but it's because of how broken Infinity War is, mainly because of one scene. And Endgame, we all know it's like broken from its core. But I've been rewatching the MCU, like I said, and like it's just I love all four of them. They're really fun films. And Endgame, like the payoffs, even though like getting to them makes no sense, I really enjoy them. So, so what do you guys think? Do you think Endgame is better than Infinity War?
No.
No, no,
Nah, not even close.
no hope in hell.
Yeah. So, well, are you guys ready to listen to Filmento trying to convince us that you're wrong?
Yeah, boy.
Not really.
No, not
Yeah.
really.
So this
No.
is Avengers Endgame: How to Craft the Perfect Ending, and yeah, I guess we're ready to get started then.
Yeah. Oh god, here we go.
That was a good scene.
That was a great scene.
That was my reaction, to be fair.
Oh, dude, even rewatching this week on my own, I was like just going crazy, just like, yeah, this is so good. It's like I watched it twice when it released, and it's been like what, a year and a half since it released, but it's just such a great payoff to have him finally wield Mjolnir.
Put the stones back, I thought.
Well, that scene is retarded, so.
Maybe try some of that life Tony was.
No, that wasn't my reaction. What do you guys think? What do you guys think of that scene of Captain America's conclusion?
Fuck off.
I was like, as a time travel enthusiast, quite like annoyed. The only bit I actually liked was him giving the shield to Falcon, which everyone goes should go to Winter Soldier, and I'm like, no, because Winter Soldier, well, Bucky wouldn't accept it, and Falcon embodies Captain America more so. Bucky's
values,
just
at
for, yeah, Bucky's more for redemption arc, which you can achieve without having the shield anyway.
Yeah, which is I think what they're gonna like explore most in the Falcon and Winter Soldier, which I'm excited to see. But the thing is, then people say, "Oh, Falcon already has his wings, so why does he need a shield?" And it's like the shield is pretty much symbolic. Like the shield is not just something to protect himself. It's like the mantle of Captain America. So I think people that want Bucky to have it are really strange as well. Especially when like Bucky also has his arm, which is like he can use to block bullets and everything, as we see in Civil War and Winter Soldier. So I don't know if he already also has something to protect himself. So it's not exactly a good argument as to why the shield should go to Bucky. But anyway. Yeah, I just wanted to pause because it says the perfect end, and I find this fucking hilarious. The perfect end, yes, that was perfect.
If I had to name the film that my personal opinion about has gone through the most amount of drastic shifts and changes, it hands down would be Avengers Endgame. When I saw this,
I actually think I'm on the same boat, but opposite to him. Where it's like when I first watched it, I thought it was like great. Thought it was amazing. Then I watched it again. I was like, that wasn't that good. And ever since then, I'm just like, the film is just broken from every conceivable perspective. So like,
Yeah,
even though I
same way.
continue to enjoy it, it's just the film makes zero sense.
movie in theaters for the first time and finally got to the ending credits, I was immediately like, okay, this is the best Avengers movie. This is the best MCU movie. But once I got home and actually began thinking about it, it started to quickly feel like that isn't exactly true. But then when I saw it a second time and once again got to the end, same thing. Best comic book movie ever made. And the thing is, it really isn't. Don't get me wrong, Endgame is a great film with a lot.
No, it's not. It has a lot of issues.
Endgame is a great film. SK, I know you're in chat. I know you're gonna love hearing Filmento say this.
To offer, especially if you're someone who's been following these characters for the decade they've been up on screen. But strictly as its own cinematic product, I wouldn't call it the strongest the MCU has to offer, or
Definitely
even the
not.
strongest the Avengers have to offer.
Yeah, no shit.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, Infinity War is not the stronger the Avengers have to offer. Infinity War has too many issues for to say that. But I've seen a couple videos of Filmento where he talks about Infinity War, and well, let's just say his takes are interesting, to say the least.
See, in War, for example, is a narrative and structural masterpiece with the
Narrative and structural masterpiece. Infinity
Yeah,
War.
no.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I wouldn't call a single fucking MCU film a masterpiece. Not even Civil War. Much less Infinity War. Like, I'm sorry, the film just... Doctor Strange alone breaks it. And I... to call it a narrative masterpiece is a disservice to, like, writing and filmmaking.
most intense goal-heavy plot any movie can possibly have. It grabs you with the very first scene and never lets you go until we cut from Thanos to black. Whereas in Endgame, there's quite a long stretch of slow points where the story stands completely still and things don't really even get going until the 1 hour mark. It might not be that big of a deal to everyone, especially if you're a huge fan of these characters to the point where you'd happily watch them shop groceries for an hour. But regardless, the fact remains. And even more than that, at least for me, there's also a certain bigger problem in this film that harkens back to the earlier days of the MCU. A problem that connects Thanos and the now infamous Marvel Rat. But that's a topic I want to cover as its own full thing next week.
Yeah, the Thanos Rat video is we may cover it as well today, so let's
Yeah.
but yeah, the point he's making, which I agree with, is that Thanos in this film isn't as good as Infinity War because he's like really one-dimensional, which is I really don't like, because we lost basically the development we had in Infinity War because they killed Thanos in the beginning of Endgame, and he's not the same Thanos here. He's the 2014 Thanos, and his goals just change when we get to the third act, which is like, it makes sense, however, how he gets that to that point, but it's way less satisfying because the other Thanos, he already has like an understanding of the Avengers and everything, and it's like the way he clashed between them, it would be way more satisfying to have that final battle with the 2018 Thanos rather than this Thanos from 2014. But I agree, it's just like he's really not that good of a villain in this film as he is in Infinity War.
Today, what I focus on is the strange reality that despite all the negative stuff and flaws I just mentioned, when this movie ends, you very easily might still feel like it's the best movie in all of history. If you haven't yet figured out why, it's because Avengers Endgame has one of the strongest endings ever put on screen. And when I
No, hang on. Let's break down its ending. Well, we got Cat not making sense at all. Tony Surf, that's fine. Unless you take into account everything else that's broken. You got the Thor giving Queen to Valkyrie, which kind of feels like an off conclusion compared to the whole thing was trying to be a rightful heir to the throne of Asgard. Hulk, who gives a shit, apparently. Hawkeye, that's satisfying, a Black Widow's dead, so no.
Yeah, Hawkeye, I like him in the film, but yeah, like you said, this thing that I think separates Endgame and Infinity War, which is like they're both really broken from like basically the core. Endgame, I'd say, is more broken, but the thing that makes Infinity War so much better is how the characters are still consistent, and in Endgame it's just like, nah, they're just really retarded now. Like the character writing gets retarded for Hulk, they just skip the entire arc, and Thor, they just undermine his entire character arc for his trilogy, which is like, yeah, I know people don't like Thor 1 and 2, but I'm sorry, the point of Thor's arc is to become the heir to the throne of Asgard, and now he's just like, nah, never mind, I'm gonna go with the Guardians, which is like, yeah, I like that he's going with the Guardians, but the way it's done is dumb. And not only that, but just the mechanics of how everything in the third act happens doesn't make any sense at all. So it's like, even though sure it may be satisfying and I still enjoy it, it's dumb as fuck in terms of writing. Like, it's not one of the best conclusions. It's like one of the worst that I've seen, actually, for something this big, at least. And I'm gonna say something Jeb is gonna love that I was saying it, but Agents of Shield probably has like one of the best conclusions for like something that's been going on for so long and with so many characters, but they still like finish the show in a way that's very satisfying while also making it make perfect sense, which is something that Endgame tried to do but definitely couldn't.
Yes, I fully agree, and it's quite funny that Agents of Shield did it, but that'd be spoilers as to why.
Yeah.
I say ending, I actually mean the entire third act, from the initial snap to the battle to
Oh,
the
no.
aftermath. Once
Oh
we-
no, it's even worse.
Oh no, he's
Oh,
actually
oh,
he's
oh,
actually praising the portals. Oh god. Doctor Strange is more broken than Doctor Octopus. I agree, SK. He's fucking he breaks these two films so much.
Back to modern day, it's non-stop emotions and stakes and satisfying pain.
No, okay. First one, emotions, sure, that's subjective, I don't fucking care. Stakes, no. Like, okay, you can subjectively think, oh, these are the stakes for this climax. But if you actually pay attention to the film, there are no stakes, because everything just happens. Like, there's no rhyme or reason for shit happening, because nothing makes sense. Like, Thanos only comes back because Nebula was retarded in 2014. Instead of just coming back, she tries to tell Hawkeye and Black Widow, and instead of just instead of just using her thing to get away, or like even after she tells Hawkeye and Black Widow, or she tries to, she could have just again traveled back to 2023. So it's like all the third act is built upon that major retardation from Nebula. And then, so like, to think that the stakes are high is like, nah, they're just gonna pull some bullshit out of their ass to make it make sense. Like, just the fact that Iron Man is able to create a gauntlet that can wield the 5 stones is already like retardation enough. 6 stones is already retardation enough. And then satisfying payoff, like we already said, not every payoff is satisfying. Like for Thor, I find it really bad. Like, I really don't like his conclusion to his arc.
Payoffs all the way to the credits. And so now, let's find out what exactly Endgame does to achieve that. Let's find out how to end your movie in such a way that makes the audience leave the theater thinking they just left the best movie they've ever seen.
Emotionalist,
What?
of course. Jesus.
Emotionalist of posters.
Like,
Is that like when like you put like a glass of tears and just put like on a coaster?
Emotionless. It's not even a fucking word. Does he?
I'm pretty sure he's South Korean. Let him be.
I don't care. Like, don't
don't
speak
care.
English then.
Emotionalist is not a word. It sounds like when you're racist towards someone who can't feel emotions.
Yeah, I was
Tone.
gonna respond to the point. That doesn't mean there are no stakes. Okay, so the stakes are built up on cause and effect. If cause and effect is broken, how am I supposed to be invested or think that there are any stakes? If like the story doesn't make any sense, I'm just gonna be thinking, oh, the writers are gonna pull something out of their ass to make the story make sense. So it's not like the stakes. To think that there are stakes after the film is so broken as Endgame is. Nah, I'm sorry. It's like no, there are no stakes in Endgame. If you're like, at least if you're talking like from an objective in quotes perspective, instead of talking about like if you're invested or not. Which is there's a very big difference between being invested in a story and the stakes in terms of the story and how it carries its conclusion and climax and what you call it, the conflicts.
Yeah, like as Grant said, the inciting thing to have Thanos there, to have the entire third act broken, and it's like, well, that's a reduction in stakes already. That's just one aspect. There's so many aspects torn, I'm afraid.
Yeah, like the main
There's so
conflict of the
many.
third act is something that makes zero sense. And then you add the portal scene with Doctor Strange that also makes zero sense. So it's like it is thoroughly broken.
Like, you could say superficially you still feel the stakes, because that's also subjective, but when you're looking at cause effect, it just breaks, unfortunately.
Yep. There
Let's
was just
continue with this video.
Wait, I'm confused. What Eb is talking about?
Oh, the Russos.
Mars. Thanos and Mars smart, and they can reverse engineer the particle and make more. Oh, but that's
Yeah,
not in
that's
the
what
film.
Russo said.
But that's not in the film, so.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if they wanted to have it in the film, sure, that could make sense. Well, it would be still weird, but well, I guess they would have as much time as they needed to get that done, right? Because like they could just travel back in time. It doesn't matter how long they spend there. So sure, I guess.
I mean, I still don't buy it because you need to know about pin particles.
Yeah.
And I don't think Thanos does.
Yeah, no, Thanos doesn't know anything about pin particles. Like, yeah. I mean, pin particles in and of themselves are already retarded, but I digress. Yeah, I don't think people are ready to hear my take that Ant-Man is the worst MCU film. So let's move on.
I've said before that the greatest, most memorable movies are always the ones that function like emotional roller coasters. Movies.
I don't agree at all. No.
No.
Emotional roller. No, you don't. No. Like, maybe if you just feel like I was watching Underwater earlier today with Studio, and I was thinking, dude, this film, the only thing it makes me feel is anxiety and fear. Like, there's nothing else I'm feeling while watching this film. It's not a roller coaster. It's all the same thing. It's just building up to it to like get tension high, and then by the end, the release of tension, like a normal film, building in terms of like 3 acts and the climax and the conclusion. So it's like you don't really need to have an emotional roller coaster. You have like different emotions, because like if you do something like that, it may end up with like tonal whiplash as well. So that's not a good thing. So I don't know. I think that's a retarded statement.
Torn. Nebula given a piece of the pin particle doesn't mean Thanos knows about how a pin particle works. That doesn't, like, correlate. Like, the only person that we know that knows how pin particles work is probably is it only Hank Pym that knows how they work,
Yep.
or does Tony?
No,
as
only
well?
Hank. Only Hank. The thing is, they well, potentially Tony. Holy shit. Okay, thunder just went off.
Jesus, man.
Yeah. The Tony could potentially, because Ant-Man was he was in the raft in Civil War, so potentially Tony took a look at his suit. Though no, Ant-Man and the Wasp says that what's his name? Paul Rudd. Scott, he gave the suit to Lois for him to take care of it. So actually no, Tony can't know about the pin particles. So yeah, because if he knew, it would also break Endgame more. So yeah, only Hank knows. So which is like they could have just traveled back in time to get more pin particles like they do in the film anyway, but whatever. So if only Hank Pym knows, and like nobody else was able to figure it out except for Darren Cross, and the way he figured it out, he didn't even think about the consequences of like going insane from the pin particles, which Hank Pym knew about. It's like it's pretty clear that only Hank knows how to make them properly. Like, even though Bob can be smart or not, like maybe he may be smart, but he'd not be able to like reverse engineer that to the way where he'd be able to time travel with it, especially when like it was hard for Hulk and Tony to figure it out. Well, not that hard because Tony figured that out in the night, which is also retarded. But he had the PIM particles and he was trying to figure out how the quantum realm worked, while Thanos didn't even know the quantum realm existed by that point. And Nebula, her memories wouldn't be enough to know how it works. So there's like no way that you could just like reverse engineer that fast enough.
Yeah, pretty much. Dead in the water.
Yeah, it's not happening.
Where we constantly jump between strong positive feelings and strong negative feelings. And the first reason the last
Isn't this what? Yeah, I'm pretty sure Closer Looks. He said this in his video, and he said the opposite. He said this climax is wasted because they don't do that enough. So he compares this to the Lord of the Rings fight, the one in Two Towers. What's the name?
Helm's Deep.
Helm's Deep. Yes, exactly. So yeah, this is funny. They're both bad videos, both disagreeing with each other.
act of Endgame leaves such a huge impression is because it might be the wildest and most intense cinematic emotional rollercoaster there is. The third act begins with what could be seen as the most positive moment in the film so far. The Avengers just pulled off the impossible and seemingly undid all the death Thanos caused in Infinity War. As in, we did it, we won, and all of a sudden, boom. Before we even have a chance to enjoy the victory, it all goes to hell when Thanos ambushes the Avengers building. AKA, in a blink, we go from highly positive to highly negative. And in a similar manner, the entire last act is built on smaller and bigger emotional shifts just like this. Yes, we found the stones. We still have the stones. Oh crap, they're coming for the stones. Phew, it's okay. We're okay. Oh shit, they got the stones. Yes, no, yes, no. Obviously, this is nothing new. I've talked about emotion.
Yeah, it is nothing new. It's like, yeah, a film has moments where you're hopeful and moments where you're not. Like, yeah. How impressive.
That's how emotion works.
I also want to point out, he was like, oh, we don't get so victory with this massive explosion. How everyone survived that explosion is beyond me.
Mm-hmm. Like, when you have characters like Ant-Man surviving, or Rocket, or the War Machine as well, him surviving is fucking retarded, especially with his fucked up legs from Civil War. And, Hawkeye as well, yeah. Is there anyone else that should have died at that point? I mean, Cap in theory, he's like a super soldier, but, you know. I think everyone should have died except for, like, Hulk and Thor at that moment. Like, it's a massive ass explosion. It destroys the entire Avengers base. It's really dumb that everyone survives with Shore. Probably would have been better if they left it up in the air if the snap worked until they appear, then confirmed it with the call from Laura for some reason. I don't know, I like the call from Laura at that point. Like, if it was later, you would just ask, why didn't she call earlier? Like, she would just reappear, and the first thing Laura does is call Hawkeye. That makes sense. So, I don't know, I think it's okay.
Emotional reversals like this before in other movies too. But the reason Endgame stands out is because thanks to the decade of build-up it has on its side, it manages to raise these positive and negative moments to such extreme levels of intensity that at least I've never seen done before. For example, look at the moment.
I'd argue the finale of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. does this better anyway, so whatever.
Yes.
Where Stark and Cap and Thor are taking Thanos head on. The whole movie has been about getting a second chance at this moment, to join together to beat Thanos. And now that we have that chance, turns out it's still too much. Turns out that even when our strongest Avengers are together and giving everything they have, they simply cannot defeat Thanos. They're just not strong enough.
Despite the fact that in Infinity War, Iron Man was able to like fight toe-to-toe with Thanos for a while, so if you had Thor on their side and Captain America, you'd think that would be enough, but apparently not. Huh? Like, this is a moment where I'm like, the stakes are really retarded. They wanted to get to the point where Cap was wielding Mjolnir by any like way conceivable. They didn't matter how they got to it. They just got to it.
Until Captain America lifting Thor's hammer at this point might be the most awe-inspiring, incredible emotional moment in the MCU. Because for a decade we've been building
I mean, I adore that moment, but I disagree. I think the fight in the end of Civil War is a way better emotional moment.
Yeah, if it was well written, up to the point of Cap getting Mjolnir, I'd agree. But Civil War, there's so much baggage behind it, and it's so well developed.
Yeah. Yeah, and then even if you have like Guardians 2, when Quill is fighting Ego, and then Ego says, like, oh, you're just gonna be like everybody else, and Star-Lord says, what's so wrong with that? Like, that's a much better emotional moment than this, I'd say, as well, because, well, the writing is good then, so I don't know.
building up that no one beside Thor can lift it. And now we finally realize that what we've actually been building up to is that Captain America is able to lift it. It's all been for this. Like,
No, we don't realize this. We knew they were building up to it because of Age of Ultron. Like, that scene made it pretty explicit that they were gonna write at that moment at some point.
he's gonna do it. He's gonna defeat Thanos.
By the way, one of the things that I hate about this final fight is how Cap basically never uses lightning and everything, because basically he becomes the god of lightning at this point, because the thing that Odin did in the first Thor film, he says like whoever wields this hammer will have the power of Thor. So like basically at this point Captain America is the god of thunder, and he basically doesn't use it at all in the fights. Like, yeah, he uses it a little, but only when he's wielding Mjolnir. He doesn't use it when he's just like has his hands, and we know that would work because of Ragnarok. So, you know, it's a really big issue, I'd say.
I think the only, to play devil's advocate on it, is that Thor had to take a long time to actually do that, but Cap doesn't even attempt, which is the issue.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, you could have had a dialogue from Thor to Captain America that was like reminiscent of Ragnarok and his arc, to like get him to be able to use the lightning. Like, if Captain America is able to use the lightning with the hammer so easily, why would he not be able to do it without it anyway? So why doesn't Ant-Man just step on Thanos? That is a good question. Oh, fuck off, Neb. God of Lightning, God of Thunder, same thing.
Importantly, the positive reveal comes right when it's needed most.
Unfortunately, even with a positive moment 10 years in the making, it's still not enough. Just like that, we go from the new highest of high to the new lowest of low. We have the incredible, inspiring image of Cap wielding Thor's hammer, and it's suddenly replaced with a bleak, defeated image of Cap's shield being destroyed, which
is the callback to Age of Ultron, which I really like. The Cap shield being destroyed. It's
Yes.
yeah, it's a really good detail. I'd be surprised if Thanos didn't survive that. Well, Ant-Man stepping on him, I'd be surprised if he did survive that. If Iron Man is able to make him bleed, don't you think like a 60 feet tall person stepping on him would be enough to kill him?
Yeah, just like, you know, rub your foot as well. Make sure you crush his ribs.
Yep.
Just keep stomping on him if need be.
Yeah, probably something would work.
also in 10 years has never happened before. And if that wasn't enough, then we also realized that Thanos still has his whole army left. Honestly, at this point we sink down to the most discouraged, hopeless negative moment these Marvel movies have ever featured. Like, I genuinely thought this is it for Cap, this is where he's gonna go. And if that were the case, this would
I really
already
love this
be
shot.
up there as one of the most intense
Same.
emotional reversals I've ever felt. But of course, you already know what happens next.
On your left, this retarded moment. Like, Cap saying Avengers Assemble, I love it. It makes zero fucking sense. Like just these portals and everyone shows up. Like how does Doctor Strange know about like where all these people are? If he's able to bring them all to one place, why not do it in Wakanda? Why not bring the people from Wakanda to Titan if the plan is to attack Thanos on Titan? So it's like just if he's able to know where people are, just teleport Vision to a habitable planet far away from where Thanos is. Like I don't make Captain Marvel be with him to protect him. Like there's loads of there's a lot of shit that he could have done, and this scene like it just retroactively fucks even more Infinity War. Marcus, careful with copytisms. Yeah, it's why I paused it.
Hang on. You think Thanos is too durable for Ant-Man to stomp on him because Tony made him bleed after half an hour? Tony punched him in the face, I think twice, was it?
I'm pretty
Was
sure,
it twice or once?
I think it was.
Um,
I can check.
So we'll go with twice for now. And we've got Ant-Man with his weight going to stomp on Thanos. You've got to understand the force being applied on Thanos would crush his bones. He's not super durable in the sense of, let's take Colossus. Like, no.
Yeah, like if he's able to die from like being stabbed, which is like, of course he is. Otherwise, Gamora wouldn't have tried to stab him earlier in the film. Then how the fuck are you gonna say that like someone stomping on him, just like basically breaking his spine, is not gonna kill him? It's really dumb.
Or just suffocate him through too much weight being applied to him.
Yep. A heater, all of that for a drop of blood. Okay.
SK, you're right. Thanos was very kind to let the Avengers have their army rally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like if he just started, like he uses the, he says, "Oh, start firing," but sire, our armies. It's like, dude, just fire. If he had just done that earlier, firing at the Avengers army, like that's it. They're all dead. Like, like he said, this film requires so much retarded. Oh, it was one big punch with the like repulsors on his hand.
Not super durable. He got hit by Hulk on bunch of targets. I did say he wasn't durable at all. I'm saying he's not durable to, like, let's say Colossus. He got hit by Hulk, yeah. Like, he's a deviant cross eternal. But if you're crushing the guy and suffocating him, he's going to die. He's not going to live that. His skin's not going to protect him. He's not going to be remaining conscious because he has no oxygen. He's dead. Please. Just please. Him taking a load of punches isn't equivalent.
Yeah, and like the way he beats Hulk isn't by being strong, it's by being like a good fighter, like with experience. Because Hulk is just, he gets angry and he beats up people. Like he has no training for a fight, and Thanos uses like strategy to beat Hulk. So it's like he was still being beat up. Like if he hadn't. If he didn't know how to fight properly, like if he didn't know how to dodge and punch, like on like actual places that would hurt Hulk, he would have lost. So still then, yeah, he's not as strong as Hulk at that point, and like we've seen Hulk get hurt in the MCU as well.
Avengers!
Assemble.
When Cap is joined by all the other Avengers in existence, this is a point where even the toughest of men begin to crack and cry. It's a powerful moment in of itself, but what really creates the
Cry? I don't think people cry. I think people cheered at this moment. But
I'm going to be honest. I did happy cry. There's a lot of personal attachments around Infinity War and Endgame in relation to my granddad, so
yeah,
I have justification.
one thing that I do want to ask: how did Rhodey get a new suit for this fight?
I think you see it like when Ant-Man says he's here, he's near them. Like you see it in the background.
Okay, yeah, I did, because I didn't notice it where the suit was, and I found it funny when Tony's dying. You just see Rhodey in a new suit. It's like, how did you get it? Well, that's if this suit shows up in the background. That's fair enough, I guess. I do find it weird that he has the Iron Patriot color scheme instead of the normal War Machine one, especially when like in Infinity War he was going against what Ross was saying. He was like working like he was against the government and the military at this point. So why the Iron Patriot? I don't know.
Ton. I don't
Lift giant man.
think.
I'm sorry. What?
I don't think he's strong enough, but due to the surface area as well, crushing Thanos, there's no way he could be in a position where he'd lift it. He'd just be crushed on his spine.
Yeah, there's
So-
no way it'd work.
Like, I don't know, dude. I don't think he's lifting him.
Yeah, I'm on the same boat. Grant, this scene makes zero sense, but I love it. Just they kept
Yeah.
finally saying Avengers Assemble, especially after the end of Age of Ultron was like, yeah, let's tease it, but not actually say it. Like that annoyed me a lot in Age of Ultrons, but it's a good thing to do, to like say for this film, I'd say, to have him actually
Yeah.
say it.
Yeah, and I loved how I literally was like, this is the one thing that will definitely happen, and it played out exactly as I said.
You're good at making MCU predictions, I gotta say.
Yeah, I'm really surprised.
Agree to disagree. On what? I'm confused. What are you
yeah.
disagreeing with, Don?
I agree to disagree that you're wrong. Sure, why not?
Also, does Iron Man have other suits he can rely on? Should have used them if he does. I think he doesn't have them by this point. I think he only has the one suit and the rescue one for Pepper. But I think he has no other suits. Because
He retired.
Yeah, he retired at this point, but of course he would still have a suit because, well, it's Iron Man. He would want to. So, an Avengers Endgame. Oh, okay. Oh yeah, okay. Let me show this on stream. But yeah, Neb got the screenshot, so that's neat. You can see the Iron Patriot suit, so that's cool. Yeah, that's a neat piece of continuity. That's actually like helps the film a lot, which is funny because Endgame is shit most of it, but they actually paid attention to continuity here. Bring the Homecoming suit, Age of Ultron suit, Civil War suit, whatever suits he had left over. Well, we don't know if he has them left over. Like, we don't know if he just decided to do the same thing as he did in the end of Iron Man 3, where he just destroys every suit. But maybe he just destroys every old suit when he builds a new one. It's like, not to get tempted to like go down that spiral of in Iron Man 3 where he's just building new suits and building new suits all the time too, because he can't like focus on anything, he can't sleep.
Impact that it is how we get here. Infinity War has the exact same moment when Thor arrives in Wakanda to save everyone, but there things only go from bad to good. Here we go from total defeated despair to full-on inspired ecstasy. In a matter of seconds we go from the Avengers being the
He's
weakest.
saying we, but let's see. Let me ask chat, specifically SK, because I know you really hate Endgame. What were you feeling in this moment? Like, did you feel all inspired, or did you feel like, what was the exact word he said?
Things only go from
Ecstatic.
bad to good. Here we go from total defeated despair to full-on inspired ecstasy.
Inspired ecstasy. I'm sorry, I don't think a lot of people did. I mean, I think a lot of people did, but I think everyone did. And I hate when video essays are just like, oh, that's how we felt. I'm like, no, that's how you felt. You're just, I don't know, projecting onto the audience what you feel. Because if you're like only paying attention to continuity, SK. Like if you're only paying attention to continuity and internal consistency, this scene is fucking awful. I was internally screaming the entire film. Oh, bye. I feel sorry for you. Yeah. Yeah, I felt like I wanted to change the world. Yeah, same, Brit. I went like, yo, this scene is so good, I want to change the world. But no, like, genuinely, this scene, it's like, it makes zero sense. So you just say, oh, that's how we felt. Like, no. If you're looking from a craft level, the scene is really broken.
In a matter of seconds, we go from the Avengers being the weakest and most defeated they've ever been to the Avengers being the strongest and most united they ever will be. In a matter of seconds, we go from the darkest of night to the brightest of day. And that is where real emotions are born.
Okay. That's where real emotions are, but as opposed to fake emotions? I just... What? I don't understand. I need him to elaborate on his point, because what the fuck is like real emotions are born from that? Like, I don't know, are fake emotions born from a scene where it's just pure ecstasy? I don't understand it. I have no clue what he means by this.
Yeah.
Stakes and knowledge, okay.
Once the Avengers have all united to battle against Thanos' army, we begin the section that by logic should be the weak point of this third act.
Real emotions, but the battle is not real. Yeah, true. He didn't stop to think that none of this is real. He's falling into the common Tazam trap.
Simply because it's more of the same old. Obviously, it's very cool to see all these characters fighting together, and the battle is very well made and visually very impressive, and it does have its fair share of emotional ups and downs. But regardless, we've already seen this CGI battle against hordes of nameless enemies so many times before.
Yeah, and Avengers does it so much better. I'm sorry.
Infinitely better, yeah.
Yeah. The resolution and everything in Avengers is just like, yeah, this makes a lot of sense, and it's a good way to have like Tony sacrificing himself to save the world when you've like been seeing him since Iron Man 1 and then Iron Man 2 as well, which is like, the film isn't very good, it's like mediocre, but his character is good there, and like when you get to this point, it's really satisfying. I'm sorry, is that what you're saying?
Yeah. And also you have each character serving their own purpose in battle as well.
Yeah. Yeah, you have Thor on the top of the Chrysler building, using his lightning. And then you have Cap and Nat down here, and then Cap, I think he jumps. No, Nat jumps on, to like a Chitauri thing to chase Loki, I think. It's like, it's a really great progression of what these characters are doing. And then you get to Endgame, you have the scene of all the girl power moment, where like it makes zero sense. You have Shuri and what's her name? The Naigurira. I don't know the character name. Like, they're just fighting these hordes of monsters and these huge things, and then you have Valkyrie and Captain Marvel as well. And Captain Marvel just starts flying and destroys everything. So why are those women close to her? Because like, it's so dumb.
Don't even know why the fuck Mantis is there.
Oh yeah, Mantis. I imagine she was just putting those fuckers to sleep, because like, there's nothing else she can do.
And for me at least, I think I prefer more personal focus fights like the Titan sequence in Infinity War. However,
dude, that scene is so bad. It's like the one scene that destroys Infinity War. I'm sorry. No. No, that scene is so bad. It's like yeah, sure, it's personal in a way, but it's also retarded, because you have Nebula being fucking retarded in terms of not stopping Quill, and then you have Quill not shooting Thanos, instead of just punching him in the face with his gun, and then you have Doctor Strange not using his portals to the max extent, or using the soul punch, or him trying to use the the mirror dimension again. Like, he uses once and Thanos punches it, but by the point he's basically asleep, just use the mirror dimension again, then you trap him there, and then you like leave, because you have the ring to leave. So like, if he's trapped there, you just leave him in the mirror dimension, then he can't affect anything in the real world. Like, the thing is, Doctor Strange is a good film, but it fucks so much with the rest of the MCU, because it introduces these concepts that the other films just like ignore. So yeah, that scene is really broken, because mostly Doctor Strange, but every other character is dumb as well.
Yeah, and also Thanos should be a fuckload more effective than he actually is.
Yeah.
Well, it's got quite a few of these stones at this point, especially the reality one.
Yeah, Reality Stone breaks a lot of the film as well. It's because like, that stone is really fucking OP. And
Right, why not turn some of them into that freaking string cheese crap he did to Mantis earlier?
yeah, he could have just done that with everyone.
That's it, game over. He wins.
Yep. Oh fuck. Whenever I hear the Naigurira, all I can think of is Will Smith's line from after the night sit down. Yeah, every time I say her name, I think of it as well. I think it was like because of a video I watched from Ralph the Movie Maker or some shit, where he used that joke. So every time I'm just the night sit down playing in my head. Why didn't Doctor Strange bring Thor to Titan? Well, that's an Endgame thing, isn't it? That he knew where Thor was. Well, actually, wouldn't wouldn't the Guardians know at that point where Thor was? Because the Guardians were with Thor. Thor says he's gonna go to Nidavellir with Rocket, and I'm pretty sure Rocket had
Yeah,
like
no, for a fact.
didn't Thor? Didn't the pod that Rocket took have like a GPS or something to like be tracked by the Milano? Because if it had, then oof, that's a huge thing. Because if Thor was in Titan, he would have beat Thanos very easily. Could Thor be able to use Infinity Stone to snap everyone back to life? Because if so, he would trade the Thor with Hulk in the final fight against Thanos. What do you mean? Is in Endgame? Oh, because you're saying like a Hulk would be better to fight Thanos than Thor? I don't think he would, to be honest. I think Thor is more OP, especially when he has the Stormbreaker and Mjolnir.
Yeah, we already saw that Thanos can beat Hulk in a fight, and also Thor did, nearly kill him at one time.
Yep.
However, this end battle sequence does still stand out from all others in Infinity War and in the MCU altogether, because the sheer stakes in it are higher than they've ever been. The whole point of it is for the Avengers to get rid of the stones before Thanos can get his hands on them and snap his fingers. And the movie very effectively bases this entire battle.
Very effectively, except you can just get Captain Marvel to get the stones and fly away. But that way, like, you can either have it not get to Thanos, and like, of course, they're not really interested in not keeping the timelines intact because they already fuck with them. Like with Loki just having the space stone at that point, the Tesseract. So that's just dumb. If you just bring it to somewhere in space, the Thanos' army is gonna have to follow her. So by that point, it's they're not gonna be on Earth to destroy it anymore, and she's of course fast enough to do it. And they could just, while she's just traveling away with the stones, they could just fix the quantum thing, and then you get Captain Marvel back. And it also doesn't make sense because if Captain Marvel went through the quantum thing, she would die because she didn't have the proper suit to go inside when she tried to go inside the van. So that also doesn't work. Like, I'm sorry, that scene is so bad. Like the chase of the stones, it makes zero sense.
Battle and the entire third act in general on the very strong underlying sense of anxiety of Thanos or his men successfully getting the stones.
Bruh, how didn't he die? Wait, what? Wait, I didn't stop to think about it before. How didn't he die? His suit is made of vibranium. Cap's shield is also made of vibranium. Cap's shield was destroyed. This wasn't. And it's used literally the same thing that destroyed Cap's shield. Just didn't even hurt Black Panther.
Well, that's because Black Panther's armor is actually made of plot armor.
Ah, genius. So it's like Mando armor.
Exactly.
Mate, it's made of fucking Beskar.
Genius. Oh, that's so dumb. I didn't think about that when I rewatched the film recently. Oh, that's a huge deal. Okay. You just skipped a huge part of it, but sure. Okay, I'm just gonna pause because of copyright. But it's also really dumb. I think I mentioned earlier the fact that Tony can just build a gauntlet that can wield the 6 stones, despite in Infinity War them making a huge deal about the fact that Thanos had to go to a specific place to make the gauntlet. Like, he went to Nidavellir and he killed everyone except for Peter Dinklage because he needed his gauntlet and he couldn't have Peter Dinklage building his stuff for anyone else. And it's like Thanos only did it now because Odin was dead and Asgard was destroyed. So Ragnarok has like a huge impact in it. So it's like if Odin hadn't died, he wouldn't have been able to do it at that moment. So it's like you're just retroactively making Ragnarok less meaningful and also making Infinity War be retarded. So this is dumb as fuck. But like the way Tony gets the stones onto his armor, like, yeah, it makes sense considering nanotech and everything. It just doesn't make sense how that gauntlet works. it was thrown, not swung at BP repeatedly. Yeah, I'm sorry, but just one swing from Thanos onto Cap's shield, it destroyed like a huge chunk of it. So it would have been
Yeah,
able
so
to
it done
penetrate,
damage.
especially when, of course, Black Panther's armor is not going to be as thick or as a Cap's shield because, well, it's armor and he needs to move and everything. Like vibranium is malleable and everything, but it's not that malleable where you're gonna be able to make like a thick as fuck suit. So yeah, that's not a good defense. I'm sorry.
But hold on, that doesn't really make sense. The stakes are the exact same in Infinity War. So then, why would they be stronger here? The thing is,
They're
I've
not the
always
same.
felt that film
They're not the same. Thanos this time is gonna kill literally everyone. When in Infinity War he was gonna kill half of everyone.
Yeah, he literally talks about rebooting the entire universe.
Yeah, and thing is, his Thanos Red video, he talks specifically about this. So this doesn't make sense. Like the point of his video is that Thanos, like he's a different villain and now his goals are different. And now he's just saying, oh no, the stakes are the same. They're not. They're different because his goals are different.
films about time travel have the highest, most powerful stakes there can be. And I've always
Oof, that's quite the take to have when like most time travel stuff, it only creates plot holes, and because of that the stakes are hugely affected. Like I'm sorry, it's like generally time travel shit is the stakes are really low because you just whatever, like when you have like Looper or the newer Terminator films or whatever, like those films, they make zero sense in terms of time travel, so the stakes are really shit.
always wondered. But having seen Endgame, I finally started to understand the answer. It's because we know for sure what happens if we fail. To try to
What?
explain this better, look at Infinity War. It establishes the stakes very well. If Thanos snaps his fingers, half of life vanishes. Very clear, very simple, very effective. But even though the stakes are high, they're still limited by the fact that they're only hypothetical. Meaning, it's impossible.
That's dumb. What? They're hypothetical. What?
What's that even mean?
What do you mean they're like it's not hypothetical. It's like he's gonna kill the half of the universe. That's his goal. Unless you're saying like any other film like has no stakes, like the stakes are lower than films where you have time travel because you already know what happens. I'm so confused. What a take. Wow. Back to the Future did it well. Yeah, Back to the Future is good. But okay, I'm gonna try to understand what he's saying. So in Infinity War, Thanos is like, I am going to snap half of the universe, and then he does. And in Endgame, because we already know that he did it, that means the stakes are higher in Endgame, even though his goals are different, and we haven't actually seen what he's gonna do, because he says he's gonna build the entire universe from Adam. So that's retarded. I'm so confused by this take.
I don't get it at all. What the fuck?
That is what he means. Okay, but that's dumb. Like the stakes aren't higher because we've seen it. Like if we've seen it and it's been undone, why are the stakes higher? They should be lower. Because we already know they can be undone, and if like one of them survives, they can time travel again, unless they destroy every quantum travel thingy. Well, I mean, unless Thanos kills them, which like sure, but by that point it's basically the same as Infinity War. So I don't know. I'm confused. I'm really confused.
Possible for the audience to feel the true dreadful impact of the stakes and the possibility
Well,
of
but one thing this is dumb. This is so dumb. In his Infinity War video, he says that the problem with Infinity War is the fact that like there were other films confirmed after Infinity War, like Spider-Man 2, Far From Home, and the like Guardians 3. It's like, oh, so these characters are gonna come back in Endgame. So like that was the problem with Infinity Wars, but now he's praising Infinity War because we saw it. So it's like, So that video is worthless now, the Infinity War one. Jesus Christ. What a fucking retarded cunt. Jesus.
The feat, since feat hasn't yet happened. If I'm still not making sense, compare this to Endgame. The beauty here is that we start off from defeat. We've already seen our favorite characters not feel so good and turn to dust.
We also start Infinity War from defeat. Heimdall dies, Loki dies, Hulk loses to Thanos, Cap and Iron Man, they're not on speaking terms, so like that's fucked. And Vision in the beginning of Infinity War, he gets stabbed, which is what drives the plot forward. So we also start with defeat in that film. This is oh my god, Filmento, please apply your standards consistently.
Already felt the consequences that follow. I mean, the reason the first hour of Endgame
like if he's saying this, isn't like basically any film after Age of Ultron, they all start with defeat. Like you have, other than like Ant-Man, but you have like Civil War, you start with them in defeat because it's like, yeah, they beat Ultron, but they having to deal with the consequences of that, and of course having to deal with what happened in Winter Soldier as well. And then you have like Ragnarok, Thor being like, oh, I keep seeing that Ragnarok happening, my people dying, so that's also defeat. And he's defeated by Hela in the beginning of the film. Like, this is the beauty of Endgame. This is just like something that happens in the MCU where like conflicts carry over from one film to the next. I'm sorry, this is just continuity. He's basically describing continuity at this point.
Just discarding it like it's a whole new thing. Like, really?
Bruh.
so slow, everyone is so goddamn miserable. And this whole movie is about getting that one last chance to undo the terror we had to go through in the last movie. Just like Thanos at the end mentions.
I will shred this universe down to its last atom, and then create a new one. A grateful universe.
Wait, he's showing the clip that contradicts the fact that he said we already know what the stakes are. Dude, please proofread scripts for the love of God. Oh, Jesus Christ. Filmento also thinks we shouldn't have to refer to Thor 2011 to understand Loki's motivations in Avengers 2012. What? Why? That's dumb. That's continuity. You need to have a character to be consistent in Thor and Avengers. Oh, hey, Jab's back.
Hey.
Oh, thank God.
Oh, yeah,
Sorry
Jab.
if you hear my dog.
No, your dog is probably more entertaining than Filmento anyway.
This is gonna sound very. Sorry, what were you saying?
You were saying something?
I was gonna say this is gonna sound very, very bad, but with Filmento going on, I was genuinely this close to falling asleep. Like, I've actually been dozing off for the past 5 minutes.
I've been wondering why I can hear anything from you.
Yeah.
How professional.
Because it's a Thor movie.
Like, that's why I've been quiet for so long.
Let's see. I just
podcast, damn it.
I just thought it was normal because you know you're 10, but apparently not.
Yeah, but if you start hearing me snoring, don't blame me.
Okay, we're just gonna scream down the mic.
Hello.
Don't worry.
Yeah, I deserve it.
Born out of blood. They'll never know it.
I'm not a big fan of how Thanos goes on about creating new universes and whatever, because I have no clue what that actually in practice means. But the main message is clear.
What do you mean in practice? He's gonna restart the universe. What's so hard? Like, what do you mean? I'm confused. He's just gonna delete this universe and start another one, and he has the stone, the Infinity Stones, and the Infinity Stones, they basically make up the universe. They're like the basic. What's the name? What did they call it in Guardians? It's like, I forgot exactly what they call it, but basically, point is, we do know what this means. This means that everyone is gonna die, and he's gonna create a new universe, one universe that's like he's gonna be able to control instead of his plan in Infinity War.
Now, we're in the exact same position as we were in Infinity War. The difference is that this time we've already gone through Infinity War. This time we know exactly what is at stake. We know for sure that if we lose, what happened will happen again and it cannot be undone anymore. This is our last battle. This is our last chance. And it's that feeling of finality and certainty of what happens upon defeat why time travel films like Endgame have the highest of stakes. It's why
What? But time travel had nothing to do with it. Like, genuinely, when did he mention time travel outside of, like, he made his thesis that time travel movies have the biggest stakes, and then he's saying that that he started talking about how we know stuff from Infinity War, which is like that has nothing to do with time travel, and that he's like, yeah, see, this is why time travel movies have the highest stakes. Like, that doesn't correlate. That's He had a thesis and a conclusion, and none of those correlate with the arguments he made. And his arguments were already dumb, but either way.
every time Thanos even a glimpse of the stones, you're practically eating your nails in pure anxiety.
Because basically, bad things always seem much more possible and likely to happen when you have already seen them happen, as opposed to just hearing that they could maybe perhaps happen.
Obviously,
Why did he not just say it instead of using this retarded... Whatever.
Because comedy.
Yes, that was very
That's
funny.
how I agree.
Yeah, good one, job. I'm so confused by this point. Like, why is he saying that? He's just saying, oh, because you've seen what can happen, that's why. Like, it really depends. Like, if you have a villain and he states his motivation, sure, like, that's not gonna be as... Just because you've seen that he can achieve his goals doesn't mean that he... like, what him achieving his goals means doesn't mean that he's gonna be able to, like that you're gonna be more invested. And then you have something like Death Proof, where it's like you don't know what the character's motivations are until halfway through the film, and then the second half is like, oh, I know what can happen because I know this character, I know his motivations, but it's all told visually, like within the story, instead of just the character pointing out his motivations to the characters. So it's a different thing. So it's like, just because you've seen that, oh, him winning, that's what will happen. Oh, this is another Thanos from another time that wants to do something else. And like, yeah, we know that the stones are gonna work because we've seen the stones being used throughout the MCU. So, yeah, I'm sorry, Filmento, you're really dumb.
in horror, fear of the unknown is your friend. But if you're making a big action movie where your heroes run to fight your villain, you have to make the stakes of that fight clear. And while the fear of losing...
But they're not clear because none of it makes sense. No. It's not clear. Like, they're trying to get Captain Marvel to go to the quantum tunnel. So what's gonna happen if she does? Because if she just gets the gauntlet through it, it's not gonna be like it just automatically goes every stone through their respective timelines. She needs a GPS, and she doesn't have the suit to do it. So if she goes there, she's gonna be lost and probably die because she doesn't have the Ant-Man suit to go inside the quantum tunnel. So that's not clear. Like, the stakes aren't clear. But I guess this is perfect. I don't know.
Losing something can be very strong, it will never be as strong as the fear of losing something that you've already once lost and by sheer effort and miracle have managed to get back.
Yeah, he just says that without... Okay, whatever.
After the battle section is done, we then move to the actual ending conclusions of the film, which might be the biggest factor in why you leave the theater thinking you just saw the greatest film ever. And the reason I say that is because with pretty much every character conclusion that this movie gives you, it's like you get to finally finish a puzzle you've spent years or sometimes even a decade building. For example...
That's...
Okay.
Yeah, Jab, go.
With Captain America, it's like building a puzzle and then stomping on it and tearing it apart and throwing it out the window. So no. With Hulk, it's like forgetting you had the puzzle.
Yeah, you just throw away the puzzle with Hulk. Like, you have all the setups from like the earlier films and with Ragnarok mostly, and then you start developing it in Infinity War, and then you just skip to the conclusion in Endgame. Like, Hulk, I'd say, is the worst offender in terms of like what he said of finishing the puzzle, and then with Thor, it's just nah. You have you had already had the perfect puzzle, and then you just throw it away. and you're like, no, never mind that puzzle. We're gonna start a new thing here with the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, it's like it's like finishing off the puzzle with incorrect pieces.
Pretty much.
The way Thanos is ultimately defeated. We have this intergalactic tyrant who all these years has wanted nothing but to snap half of life into dust. And how does the movie kill him off? By snapping him into dust. You might say that's obvious, but just last week we talked about a movie that killed off a water-themed ghost by just arbitrarily stabbing it with a cross. In reality...
But, okay, so you're saying that it's bad if the film just decides that something is gonna happen, and that deflates from the stakes. Well, that's interesting, huh? If only he applied that consistently to this film as well. That would be cool, wouldn't it?
Yeah, finally.
In reality, the reason Thanos' conclusion might feel obvious is because when we see it, we realize that it's the only right way he could ever be concluded. It's poetic justice basically, and it's very satisfying, easily up there with other masterful villain endings like Jafar in Aladdin. In the same way, we have
That's
multiple different bigger and smaller conclusions where characters end up exactly where they've been destined to end up from the start. Thor finally...
Bruh, destined to end up... The entire point of his arc is that he's gonna go against destiny. Are you fucking retarded? Like, he says, like, I'm gonna go against what I'm supposed to be, and I'm gonna be who I am. Like, that's exactly the opposite of fucking destiny. Wait, no, I must have misheard. This can't be that retarded.
Endings like Jafar added. In the same way, we have multiple different bigger and smaller conclusions where characters end up exactly where they've been destined to end up from the start.
No, it is that retarded. Fucking hell. Oh,
I thought Thor was destined to become king, like Odin said, but sure.
Like Thor said. Thor himself says, like, I'm gonna be who I am and not who I'm supposed to be. What Frigga says in the film. Fucking hell, this is so dumb. Wow, dude, I'm so impressed by this level of stupidity. Holy fuck. Wow, amazing. Congratulations, Filmento, you're retarded.
Thor understanding that maybe the reason he's never felt like the right leader of Asgard is because he was never meant to be the leader of Asgard. And
yeah, that's a defeatist attitude that fucks with the other three films. Like, the first film, it's like, he's not the righteous leader because he's arrogant, and then he learns to move on from that arrogance. And then the second film, no one remembers, but let me try to remember what happens.
It was about dealing with loss, I guess.
I guess loss, yeah, because he loses Loki and he loses his mother. So yeah, I guess it's just learning to live with loss and trying to lead Asgard into I don't know. He defies Odin, then he goes after the Malekith, and then dude, I no clue what his arc is in that film, but anyway. And then in Thor 3 you have the fact that he's like, oh, I'm gonna rule Asgard, but like Asgard isn't like where someone like it isn't a place, it's where everyone is, so it's more of like the sense of belonging, where it's he didn't know if he belonged like with the Avengers, and then he didn't know if he belonged with on Asgard, which is like also carries over to Valkyrie's arc and Hulk's arc and what's his name, Carl Urban. Yeah, Carl Urban. He has 2 machine guns. That's it.
Executioner. That's his name.
Oh yeah, he's a Hela's executioner. But yeah, like, and then this film is just like, no, he doesn't belong in Asgard, which fucks with the third film, and he hasn't grown to become the king of Asgard, which fucks with Age of Ultron, Avengers, and Thor. So that's cool. I just love that. Loki dies, but not really. Oh yeah, in Thor 2 he doesn't really die. Yeah, I thought you meant the Infinity War, but yeah. So anyway, Thor's arc, not that good, no.
And so on. But the conclusions where Endgame really makes its mark is the way it handles its 2 biggest stars, Tony Stark and Steve Rogers.
Oh, no.
If you look
Okay,
at Stark in this movie, you can quickly see that he was always meant to die. We begin with him accepting death and wishing for one last chance to make things right before he goes.
And Pep, I know I said no more surprises, but I gotta say I was really hoping to pull off one last one.
And when he does get that chance, the whole story becomes about him using it. I mean, listen to the music.
No, it doesn't. He retires. He's even against doing the time travel shit. He's like, no, we can't do that. It's too risky. I already have I have a family. I have what I always wanted. So like, I'm not just gonna give that away. Like, it's he's not just, yeah, I have this chance, I'm gonna do it. It takes him 5 years plus like, I don't know, a day for him to be like, yeah, I'm gonna do it. Like, he's against doing it at first. So you're just wrong.
And you'll notice that this movie even starts with the musical theme of Tony's death.
Let me just pause for copyright. Okay. Thanks, Jeb. For fuck's sake, this is a huge clip. Okay. Yeah, that's neat that they played the same thing. That's cool, I guess.
They
Wildly.
reused a bit of theme.
Whoa.
What do you do?
You learned how motive works.
You
Congratulations.
learned what a
Motif.
level is. I've never heard behind him before.
Is he gonna show the entire scene?
Why practice this much?
I have no clue.
To be honest though, setting up a character's death earlier in the movie, that's nothing too special. But the thing that does make Stark's death so special is the fact that it was actually set up way before. I guess you could say that it was very distinctly set up in the first Avengers. But the truth is, to find the moment where Tony Stark's death was first introduced, you have to go all the way back to the scene that started the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Right.
I already know his reasoning because I've seen this video. Oh wait, let me pause it because copyright. But yeah, I already know his reasoning. It's I don't know if I fully agree. Like, maybe it makes sense, but you'll see. Let me pause again for copyright. Please more often. Pause more often, silly markers. They'll get you for like 2 seconds. No, they like if it's less than 10 seconds, it's hopefully gonna be good enough. Jesus Christ, how does he get away with such long clips? I'm impressed. Like,
How's this video still up?
no clue. Like, in my Legion videos, it takes so much to like get them to drop the claims, and it's like completely under fair use. Here he's just using the exact clip for like a long ass time. There was a quick cut there.
Tony Stark was supposed to die to his own weapons in the opening of the first Iron Man, but for some reason was allowed to keep his life. And now that we watch him snap his fingers in Endgame a decade later, we finally realize that the reason he did keep his life was so that he can give it away here to save everyone else. That is the definition.
See, I don't know if this is setting up. I think. Because like, wouldn't it also apply to Avengers, where he sacrifices himself? Like, you could say that was the reason why he tried to why he lived, because he's like saves the world at that point.
Well, the problem is he's trying to put Tony reliving equals therefore he must die at a future point, when actually the whole point of why Tony lived is so he can renew his life and do better. That doesn't mean it leads to a death. The reason why Tony dies is because he's too addicted to this lifestyle. It's Iron Man 3 that introduces the concept more than any other film, where he just can't stop. And it's about a story of how addiction eventually kills you.
Yeah, I don't know. It's also something that I don't really like, this determinist view, where it's like, from the first film, he was destined to die at this point. But it's like, well, not really. Like, his actions led to this moment. And poor writing as well from Endgame, but we'll ignore that. Like, the fact that he arrives at this moment isn't just because he survived in Iron Man 1. It's, I don't know, I find it really weird, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't get it.
Definition of a satisfying conclusion. That is destiny fulfilled.
And now that I'm trying to protect the people that I put in harm's way, you're gonna walk out?
You're gonna kill yourself, Tony. I'm not gonna be a part of it.
I shouldn't
Let me just pause for copyright.
be alive. Unless it was for a reason. I just finally know.
For fuck's sake, these long ass clips. But yeah, that's like his motivation to become a hero in the first film. It's not. That doesn't mean like he's destined to die at some other point, sacrificing himself to save everyone. But whatever.
Know what I have to do. And I.
Okay, just pausing for copyright. Ah, fuck's sake, Filmento.
Come on.
Iron Man.
Same with Steve Rogers. Even though he's always done his best to
Oh, no.
adapt to his new modern surroundings, films like Age of Ultron have made it very clear that no matter how he tries to settle in, the present isn't his home. He's the
That's
Okay, so he keeps doing this. He keeps trying to stretch, try and make it work. The whole point of that is to showcase the tragedy of Steve Rogers and how he's got to keep moving on despite being out of place. Him going back in time causes a character assassination. So,
yeah, it's like Cap is my favorite MCU character. He's butchered in Endgame.
Yeah, same. I love it.
man out of time and he simply just doesn't belong here. And the conclusion that he ultimately gets is something that didn't even seem possible before Endgame, but now that we've seen it, feels like the only real conclusion there could ever have been. The reason
No, it doesn't. It
No,
really doesn't. Like, even
no,
if you wanted
no.
him to get back, to get with Peggy, like, there's so many better ways to do it. Like, you could just have him travel back with Peggy. You can have him, or even like just to make it make sense in the scene, instead of just him old sitting on a bench, you just have him teleport back and he's old at this point, inside the suit. That makes more sense. And like, but like the main thing is just like you have him teleport back, and like, I don't know, say he spent, like, he finally got the dance he wanted with Peggy, but you know, he comes back because he has like a job to do or something like that. Like, cause like there's no way you can just retire Captain America's character like this. It's so dumb. It's him going against his development, kind of like Jamie in Game of Thrones. Well, I don't know about Game of Thrones, but yeah, it is going against his development for sure. Like Avengers, for the first Avenger and then Avengers, they talk about a lot of him being a man out of time. And then Winter Soldier, but by Winter Soldier, at the end of the film, it's like, nah, he belongs here, especially when Bucky is here as well. So it's just really dumb.
The reason Steve Rogers sacrificed his life in 1945 was so that he can be here today to save the future.
No,
and
it
then
wasn't.
finally go
No,
No.
what? No, he sacrificed his life to save 1945. What are you saying? He
was
sacrificed
to
his life because
stop-
otherwise the bomber was gonna explode. Fucking what? New York, I think. Like, no.
Yeah, it was.
This is
So-
dumb, Filmento. No.
It's making connections that aren't there to try and make it better.
Mm-hmm.
back home to live the life he always deserved to have. And this
He
is
could
how
have had it here with Sharon. Like, that's the point of Sharon existing in this universe. Like, we see her in
yeah.
Winter Soldier and Civil War. It's like, yeah, like, she's here. She's like, she's even Peggy's nephew, right? And
Niece. Niece.
yes, niece.
Nephew is the male one.
Ah, yeah. Oh, you should have learned that before. But yeah. Yeah, she's even Peggy's niece, and it's like it's pretty clear that it's like she's basically the person he's supposed to be with, like, now in the present. And we even see Peggy dying in Civil War, and we see her old in the Winter Soldier and almost dying. Like, it's not like you just have his character like trying to move on from Peggy and living in this world, this future. And you just have him, nah, let's go back to Peggy. Let's just ignore what happened in Civil War and Winter Soldier.
how you craft an that affects the audience and stays with them, not only when they walk out of the theater, but for a long, long time.
Yeah, in a bad way, but sure.
So that was
for a long time.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. That's it then.
What the
Yeah.
fuck is that thumbnail on the left?
Yeah, that's the okay.
Yeah, the
So yeah, I need to ask you guys. Are you good to watch another Filmento video?
Oh boy, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. So
oh boy. Yeah.
Yeah, I
you
want
got
to talk about it.
we have two choices: this Thanos rat video, or the Age of Ultron video where he says Age of Ultron succeeded where Avengers failed. So which one do you guys prefer?
I'm gonna have to go with the Age of Ultron one because as curious I am for Thanos Rat, it's not gonna add anything to me.
Yeah. Okay. So his video is called "Why Age of Ultron Worked and the Avengers Didn't," which is
Yeah, right.
quite the take. Like, I want to ask you guys, what what do you think is better, Avengers or Age of Ultron?
Iron Man
I
3.
wonder.
Endgame.
Yeah, it's the most obvious thing ever. Yeah, Avengers is so much better than Age of Ultron, like by a fucking mile. But well, I guess Filmento is gonna prove us wrong now. So, are you guys ready?
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't get me Nick Fury, you can't.
For fuck's sake, let me pause again for copyright. Fuck's sake.
What is it with this guy?
How bad is it? That's the problem, sir. We don't know.
Okay, that was what?
That was a very
In
necessary
honor
meme.
of the Russo
that was a
brothers
thing.
era of the Avengers coming to an end, I decided to travel back in time to revisit the previous Joss Whedon era of the Avengers for a video. And what's interesting about this video is that initially it was supposed to be the total opposite. The title that you see, it was supposed to be the other way around.
Yeah,
This
the correct way around. Yes.
Well, it didn't
Yeah,
do that,
yeah.
wouldn't
Yeah, but you got wrong around.
This because throughout
you
the years-
dyslexic fuck.
it? Fucking hell.
Pretty much everything I've heard about these two films follows along the same lines. The Avengers is fantastic.
It
Age
is.
of Ultron is a not so fantastic disappointment.
Pretty
Even
much.
with me, I saw Age of Ultron
Yep.
once in
Wait,
3D
that
and
sentence
thought
is
the 3D
weird. Not so fantastic disappointment implies that it wasn't good at being a disappointment.
That's actually true. Yeah. That's fucking retarded. Oh, genius.
3D conversion so horrendously dark and poorly made that I just dismissed the whole movie and never thought about it again. Until
What? The problem was with 3D. Oh my god, that's so dumb. They just rewatched the film out of 3D, you moron. Like, what? I watched it on 3D. It was so dark that I never watched the film again. Like, Jesus Christ. How do you follow the line of thinking? That's so dumb.
now, when after half a decade, I finally went back and saw these films for a second time. Again, you've all seen the title of the video, so I might as well just go ahead and say it. Upon my revisit, the original Avengers I found to be not that great. To be blunt, I could barely even get through some sections of it. Age of Ultron.
What?
What?
Hold on.
You are wrong.
That's like the
You are
okay.
objectively, factually wrong.
Like that's. I know that's completely subjective, but it's like Avengers is probably the most entertaining MCU film for me. Like,
Yeah.
it is like in
Yeah,
Age of
absolutely,
Ultron.
yeah.
Other than the first act, the film is like really bad, like really bad. Wow. Okay, that's quite the take to have. But let's see Filmento try to justify it.
Ultron I thought was
Yeah,
fantastic. It's no Infinity
Fantastic.
War, but still easily among
no
the better
Infinity War.
films in the MCU.
Well, this is gonna be great.
Yeah. Okay. That's wow. That was quite the sentence. Age of Ultron is fantastic. It's no Infinity War, but one of the best of the MCU. Amazing. Wow.
Only a minute and a
I
half in.
remember. Easily miles better than this. Now,
Bruh.
before we get into what actually made me change my views of these films, I want to quickly bring up some of the more common negativity aimed at Age of Ultron. The
Negativity point one. It makes zero fucking sense how Ultron works. Like, just the fact that he goes through the internet and Vision's just like, you locked me out. Darn it. It's like, no, that's not how it works. You can just lock someone out of the internet. Once they're in the internet, they're gonna be there forever if it's something like that. Like, Jeb would know better than I would in terms of like cybersecurity, but
Yeah, you can't. Right. Ultron is powerful, but he's not knocking someone out of a constantly growing internet. That's impossible. No one can ever do that.
yeah.
Not even Tony Stark. If Tony Stark could do that, that'd be great. But Ultron can.
So. And then, like, Tony just releasing fucking nuclear codes to attract Ultron. That's also a retarded moment for the film. Like, that film is so dumb. Yeah, it's so dumb.
Strongest source of activity, as I found it, seems to stem from the promotional material. If you
What? Oh, yeah, but it's like the trailer made the film look good, and the film is shit. Like, the thing doesn't come from the promotional material because the promotional material is good. It's like saying Suicide Squad is a bad film because of the trailers.
Is this the same logic as most of 2002?
Oh yeah, actually, pretty much.
Oh god.
Genius. Ultron banned Jarvis's Twitter account. It was the other way around, but yes.
remember back to you might remember that the trailers promised a very dark movie with a very dark villain, which ultimately turned out to be a very comedic, lighthearted movie with a very comedic, lighthearted villain. And
which is retarded because Ultron in the first act is fucking amazing.
Yeah, and then goes fucking lame.
Yep.
Yeah, Ultron works more as a menacing type villain and an antithesis to Tony Stark.
Mm-hmm. And it's like interesting they changed from the comics that it was Hank Pym who created him, and I think it works until the film just decides, nah, he's Tony, but he wants to destroy the world because reasons.
Pretty much.
I saw this tweet which was like, Age of Ultron is the most realistic superhero movie because Ultron spent a couple minutes on the internet and wanted to destroy humanity. Well, yeah, you're not wrong.
He's not wrong.
Yeah.
And as a DC fan, I understand how this broken promises aspect can be very frustrating. But that said, if you go back now...
What does he mean? Is that from the Justice League trailer? No, it's the BVS, right? Where I think they show... Because in the BVS trailer they show the dream sequence that Batman has in the film, and in the film is just a dream sequence as well.
That was like 2 minutes in the trailer. Did you really think it was gonna be just Batman and Superman fight? And then this big thing in my desert. you fucking...
But I mean, the thing is, BVS was actually setting up that world, wasn't it? It was like with the dream and Flash coming back.
Yeah,
so...
the whole point is that it was implied it wasn't a dream. It was like a premonition. Like,
yeah. So
shut up.
So yeah, I wouldn't call that misleading marketing. It's more like building a universe, which like now it's probably not gonna happen. But you know, but I mean, they actually showed footage from that in the Snyder Cut trailer today, right?
Yeah.
So then, yeah, it may actually happen. So yeah, you're retarded, Filmento. Sorry.
And see this only as what it is and not as what it was supposed to be.
Yeah, it's shit, and it was supposed to be good. I'm sorry.
The tone isn't really an issue, at least not any more than it was in the original Avengers. Although,
wait, no, hang on, stop
No,
it.
I'm sorry. There's a difference between keeping a consistent tone and having, and it's like a lighthearted tone, and then having just tone of whiplash, which happens in Age of Ultron, and doesn't happen in Avengers because in Avengers, Joss Whedon, he cared about tone way more. Because then when you have scenes like Loki talking to Natasha, that's a scene that's like, it's supposed to be menacing and frightening, and it's like really well put together. And then right after that, we have the scene with like everyone arguing in the room, right, with the scepter, and Banner grabs the scepter. So it's like it isn't just put between comedic scenes. When Ultron, it's like his first scene is the most menacing shit you'd ever see, and then it just becomes comedic right after. So yeah.
Yeah, and the thing is, he's citing the Hulk smashing Loki. That's actually kind of a well-earned moment when you think Banner becomes Hulk out of fear because of Loki, so it's kind of getting revenge on him.
Mm.
I will admit exists a bit of a Lucas effect in Age of Ultron.
But it's actually like even the that moment with Hulk, it's like it doesn't ruin tonally because like we've seen that there's still some there's still a threat going on, so it's like a bit of comedic relief by that point. And then like the fact that Loki gets like this destroyed like that, it also adds to the narrative in a way where it's like if he wasn't that beat up, they wouldn't have been able to capture him by the end. When you have that frame where like all the Avengers are looking at Loki, so I'd say it also adds to that final payoff. So
Plus, it works on a character level because Loki's very condescending and Hulk's just like beats whatever up.
yep,
He's just like, fuck off, cunt.
yeah.
Meaning, a snappy comedic style worked so well before, he kinda doesn't see how he at times is starting to go too far with it. To the point
I don't know if I'd blame it on Joss Whedon, to be honest. Like he's even claimed that this film isn't his film because like studio interference and whatnot. And like I would believe him considering the great stuff he's made. Like he's one of the creators of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. for one, and I'd say the tone in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is one of like the things that he handles the best. I don't know about Shield, Jabber, and Zod, but yeah, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. has some really great comedic moments in like very Joss Whedon style, but it's done like in Avengers way and not Age of Ultron way.
And then there's Buffy, which is a very serious show with levity in it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
where the comedy makes no sense.
Firefly as well.
Guys, stop. We gotta talk this through.
What do you mean it makes no sense?
It's good talk.
No, it was.
What do you mean it makes no sense? He delivers a one-liner. I don't...
How does that make no sense?
I don't know.
Okay, what?
Everybody's afraid of something.
Cuttlefish. Deep sea fish.
This makes sense. He's just like, dude, this scene is so good. Like, it's one of the scenes that I love in Age of Ultron because it makes Cloud to be such a serious and menacing antagonist, because he's being faced with these two extremely powerful people and he's just like making fun and just not really caring about it. And he even says, if you're gonna make me see like a cuttlefish and make me afraid, I know that you're not here to talk business. I know that you're not the boss. So where is he? And then Ultron appears. So it's like he's not afraid of these people because he knows they're not there to because like they're not in charge. So yeah, I'd argue this scene is actually great, and it's a good moment of it's a good joke that also pairs with a great character, establishing Claw's character really well, which is fucked later in Black Panther. But for this film alone, this is really good actually. But yeah, I don't see how it doesn't make sense. Like he says he's afraid of cuttlefish after she says everyone's afraid of something. Like that's a natural progression. So you're retarded, Filmento.
The one time he's criticising the film and he fucks it up.
Genius.
They make lots. Disco lots.
Okay,
Boss, some demeaning female hero moments. Seems to be a Whedon trademark.
What? No, dude, this is... Oh, my fucking god. This isn't in Avengers, so you can say that. And this is also not in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or any other Joss Whedon project, so whatever. But, you know how... like, this moment is because there's sexual tension between the two, so it's, like, funny. Like, oh, that happened. And it's not demeaning. Like, he fell onto her. If she fell onto him, would it be demeaning towards Banner? Like, this is dumb. This is so dumb. And how does this make Ultron better in the first scene? I think he's just like, I don't know. I have no clue. Unless he's gonna argue that Avengers does this worse. So, let's see.
sorry.
Ah, yes. Justice League, the most Whedon film ever. Not like he was just like a studio puppet for that film. Oh, fuck. Like, are you really gonna say it's a trademark with Whedon and point out the two films of his that are like the most studio corporate made? Like, fuck off.
Justice League is the literal most definition of studio interference, and you're really gonna say it's the same as Age of Ultron?
Yeah, no, this is dumb.
So, hang on. Right. one, we've established Age of Ultron is also studio interference, like this.
Mm-hmm.
Two, it would have been better if you could find an Avengers example. Oh wait, it does exist. Three, it would have been better if you used probably Buffy, because that is the thing Whedon was known for.
Yep. And like
If there was
in the
one.
first of like in this film, you say, oh, the meaning moments, but then you have Scarlet Witch, and she has like some of the best moments in Age of Ultron. So it's like, oh, does he like the mean women, or is like it actually like just a joke that appeared in this film? Like it's not, it's so dumb to like apply this. Oh yeah, it's Joss Whedon's fault, especially when it isn't in the first film. So. No, there was this whole bandwagon about Ultron being a sexist movie. Filmento wanted to see it. What, really?
What?
Age of Ultron being sex? What? How?
I've never heard that.
Yeah,
Neither have I.
Like
Wait, that.
Black Widow and Scarlet Witch are like some. I don't know. I'd say they're some of the best characters in Age of Ultron.
He's right. There is a lot of arguments about sexism with Age of Ultron.
Wow. Okay, that's.
What?
I'm okay. I've never heard of that before. I feel like I just entered this parallel dimension where people are saying this. How? Okay.
Apparently about Black Widow. I don't know.
Black Widow, but isn't she
Well,
like
the whole
hugely
thing
important to the film? Like,
Was it the thing where like she considers herself a monster because she can't have children? Is
well,
that
not
what
not
they're
exactly
going
like it's not exactly because she can't have children. It's like her training and everything, and they made her sterile as well. So it's like she's basically she was basically raised as a monster, and it's like like they only get over that in Endgame when Hawkeye says like, oh, I've done some terrible shit, and then Black Widow's like, oh well, you didn't judge me for that, or I don't remember the exact line, but anyway.
But like the thing is as well, in that scene of context, she was going, "We're both monsters" to the Hulk, and Age of Ultron was kind of trying to show Black Widow's not a monster to everyone else.
Yeah, it's even trying to show that Banner is not a monster just because he's Hulk.
Yeah,
and it's
okay.
like she would say she's a monster by that point because she saw the vision from Scarlet Witch, showing her past. So it's like it would be fresh in her mind, and something that she's constantly trying to repress. And even in the first film, she considered herself somewhat of a monster, like because she says that Clint saved her, but she used to like be part of like USSR or whatever. So.
Yeah, and a common trait, go through like traumatic or abusive situations, you tend to blame yourself on that level.
Yep. It's like, didn't she also like when she died? When she was born, didn't like her parents die, like in a fire, in the hospital or something like that? I remember Loki mentioning it in the first Avengers. So it's like she would feel very guilty about like everything that happened in her life. Oh yeah, that even carries on to Endgame because she says that she didn't know her mother's or father's name when Red Skull says it.
It says he and his wife, Ivan Romanov, who's Natasha's father, died in unknown circumstances.
Okay. Then yeah, she'd also feel guilty about that. So yeah, that's retarded. I'm sorry. Just say that this film is sexist. It's just wow. I'm really impressed.
All that said, let's just get to it. Let's see how I went into these films with a plan to make a video.
I love this, by the way, this one take, or just going through through New York and seeing everyone fighting everyone in the city. It's just so good.
One of my favorite moments.
Yeah, and actually, Skal, he says he made a video talking about like one takes, and he says like this doesn't work, while Daredevil works basically because it's like all CGI, and in Daredevil you have like to be like practical mostly, so it's all like you get more attached to the scene. But I'm sorry, the scene, I love it way more than I love any of the like one take scenes in Daredevil, even though like probably I'd say the season 3 one is better, but just because it's like these characters are like I've always wanted to see the Avengers on screen, and when I got to see this on cinemas in 2012, it was like, wow, this is amazing. So yeah, sorry.
Yeah, this all built up to this singular moment where you see them all fight together, and just after Coulson's quote unquote death.
I mean, he did actually die, so you can just say that.
Yeah, I'm still saying quote unquote.
Okay then.
About in what the Avengers is superior to Age of Ultron, only for the video to ultimately turn out the
Okay,
exact
we
opposite.
get it. Just
Let's
go
see
get yours.
what are the key filmmaking reasons
like this
that
scene as
made
well.
me view Age of Ultron as a much stronger movie.
That's like a
of the
spectacle and not the writing. The look of a film. Okay, I agree that the first Avengers looks flat. The lighting is really flat, and but I don't know. Age of Ultron, it looks. I don't really like the color grading. It looks too bleak in a way. I don't know. I don't really like it, but sure. Let's see what he's gonna say.
One of the initial points I thought I would be talking about was how the Avengers is visually superior to Age of Ultron. Like I said, I saw
You're
Age of
retarded.
Ultron once in 3D.
What?
because the
Wait, he's retarded. What? How would you say that? How? What? Why did he think that was gonna be the case? Like, everyone knows that the first Avengers looks flat. And yeah, CGI in the MCU isn't the best, but by 2015 it was a lot better than 2012.
3D made the movie so dark, I genuinely hated how it looked. But now, watching
because
it
you
the way
couldn't see
it
the
was
film,
meant to
you
be
moron.
watched, it looks pretty great. I'm not here to argue whether or
By
not
the way,
it
Cap should be dead by that point. Getting punched by with that force with someone that fast. So
should
Yeah,
have
it's
won an
pretty
Oscar for
intense one.
cinematography, but what is undeniable is that it visually looks like an actual film. The Avengers,
What?
however, kind of looks like
What?
a cheap TV movie. Even though
a lot of people say that. I don't know if I'd say TV movie. It looks kind of cheap. The lighting looks flat, but it's like they were filming with IMAX cameras to look like more spectacular. So it's like for the big moments in the final fight, that's why you need it. Or when like Hulk is chasing Black Widow inside the helicarrier, for as an example, like it all adds to that. So I don't know, like yeah, it looks kind of flat. I'd still argue it doesn't look bad, that bad at least. You call it like a TV movie.
Yeah, I think he's also applying today's standards on a 2012 film where a lot of the technology we have now was very experimental.
Mm-hmm. Wait, why would Cap be dead? Quicksilver, he's going so fast that basically like time almost stops moving, and then Quicksilver just punches Cap in the face, and Cap goes like his face goes back like really fucking fast. So not only whiplash, but the force behind that punch would have to be massive. So he'd be dead. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, that'd be a pretty heavy punch.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, if you look at Quicksilver in the X-Men, he only has to tap people and they go flying.
Yeah, so it's like he like full on punched Cap in the face. And yeah, Cap is a super soldier, but still, that's a really huge deal.
immediately did a visual problem with the Avengers, I couldn't put my finger on what it was exactly. It might be the TV-like aspect ratio, it might be the lens.
TV-like? No. Are you gonna say that Joker has a TV-like aspect ratio? That's the IMAX camera. That's dumb. Like, by the same logic, you just say that the aspect ratio in Joker is shit. Or like Dark Knight, or, well, not all of Dark Knight, but a lot of the Dark Knight. It's just, that's really retarded, I'm sorry.
And a couple of scenes in Mission Impossible Fallout.
Yeah, Mission Impossible as well.
Might be the unemotional lack of focus, but ultimately what I believe to be the main problem is the overly flat lighting. The lighting in the Avengers is so incredibly flat that this $200 million blockbuster has the same visual appearance as my grandmother's favorite daytime soap opera. It's not always bad.
Yeah, thank you for saying it's not always bad. Oh, Jesus Christ, he really compared it to like a soap opera. I'm really, wow, okay. Like, I get that it looks flat, but fucking hell, you can't be that retarded.
But it is especially bad in the scenes taking place on the helicarrier. And as you know, most of the movie...
They're like in the sky, and it's lit from everywhere around them. Like, it would be really bright at that moment. It would look like this. I don't know if it would look like if it would have atmospheric lighting. Like, you could argue this is more realistic.
Movie takes place on the helicarrier. To visualize what I'm trying to say, let's compare these two.
I'm sorry, do you guys think the left one looks bad? Because I think the lighting here looks actually pretty neat.
I find it decent.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks
It's good. It's good.
Yeah.
Makes sense for its scene.
Yeah, and then on the right, I don't know, I think they put the color grading a little bit too much of, like, orange. Because, like, everything that's white here is orange, basically, if you pay attention, which is funny. So, I don't know.
Yeah, I could see it.
Yeah.
Territories, Avengers, and Age of Ultron, starting with Ultron.
Our job is if. What if you were sipping margaritas on a sun-drenched beach, turning
But, like, even then, it's just, like, yeah, the director evolved, and he, like, started to have better cinematography and lighting and everything. So, are you really gonna be like, oh, that's why this film is better than the other? Like, lighting is one of the least important aspects in shit like this.
Yeah, this was a couple of years afterwards. So it seems a bit unfair.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like, if I'm going to use a gaming example and now do 3D, it's like going Mario 64 in, like, visuals and gameplay mechanics compared to, let's say, Galaxy or Sunshine. You've had time to learn how to use this technology and progress it.
And not only that, but if you think about in terms of a studio, not only is this now Disney instead of Paramount, but in 2012 Paramount was like, this is a huge gamble. Like, yeah, they knew it was successful to, like, make films like Iron Man and whatnot, but they also made Thor 1 and Iron Man 2, films that, like, weren't good. Like, they weren't that well received. Like, Thor 1 is still one of the least profitable MCU films, and the first Avengers as well. So it's like, dude, we're making this Avengers film, we're spending like $200 million, which is more money than Thor made back. Are we ready to gamble this much? So, like, they can't spend that much money to make, like, the lighting look fantastic and everything, especially when they need to spend a lot on special effects, which on CGI, which of course costs a lot more. And by Age of Ultron, it was Disney, and they were like, yeah, this is like, we are going to profit from this 100%, so we can make it look better. So, like, from a studio perspective, of course, Age of Ultron would look better than the first Avengers. Yeah, exactly what Britt said. The film with the bigger budget and more confidence behind it looks better. You know, it's impossible to think about that, really.
Brown instead of green. And over your shoulder for Veronica.
Looking at the starting frame of the shot, what do you see? Obviously, you see color, and not only color, but color that organically projects itself out into the environment. And as for the environment itself, you
That's not true. You don't see this blue lighting projecting onto anything. The light's coming from the outside, from, like, the window. This is
see
dumb.
shades of color there too, from white to steel.
Avenger 1 was Disney. No, it was not. It was Paramount. Paramount? No, yeah, Paramount. It wasn't Disney. Disney got, in 2013, the MCU. I'm certain. Because I'm pretty sure the first film they made that was Disney was, like, Winter Soldier. Because Iron Man 3, it was already Disney, but it was released as Paramount still. Like, it was shot and everything is Paramount.
It says Marvel The Avengers produced by Marvel Studios and distributed by Walt Disney Studios Motion Pictures.
Then never mind, I guess. I'm retarded. I could have sworn it was 2013, but okay.
To dots, there's also reflections, there's depth. All of this is great, but at the same time, even though some of the overhead lamps are wisely turned off, you could still perhaps argue that the lighting overall is somewhat flat, because the frame is primarily dominated by shadowless cold white light. Not really, but for the sake of argument. But if we continue, watch what happens.
Our job is if. What if you were sipping margaritas on a...
Okay, I'm just gonna pause real quick, but yes, lighting is better in this film. We get it. Thanks for spending
instead of green.
the half of the video.
Just like
on it.
that, we move away from the dominant white light and enter more of a shadow. We started out cold and we ended up warm, which is very evident in the skin of our characters. As in this one shot, there are clear noticeable shifts in the temperature and volume of light. As in, there exists a clear contrast between white and black.
Yes,
as in,
we get
the
it.
lighting isn't flat. Now look at a
Yeah.
similar shot from the Avengers.
Wondering if they shouldn't have kept him on ice.
Guy's not wrong about Loki. He does have the jump on us.
I really like this shot, to be honest. You have on the foreground, you have Banner focusing on the work and Tony trying to, on the foreground, the background trying to talk to him about other stuff.
What he's got is an Acme dynamite kit. It's
The
gonna
camera
blow up in his
movement,
face.
like I like this.
And I'm gonna be there when it does.
Right away, you can notice a couple things. The entire environment is the same steel color. There are also no reflections, no depth. There are some colors, but they don't project out into the environment. And what's
Jesus
worst
Christ.
is that the dominant cold white light the entire time remains the same. There are no notable shadows. There is no notable contrast between white and...
Yeah, this.
Well,
I'm
spending
so-
so much fucking time on this point.
Yeah, and
There's
this
a
is just
shadow.
it looks more realistic, dude. That's how it would be in this scene. Like the only thing that he's brought up that I'm thinking is that Age of Ultron had the lights turned off in that scene to make it look more atmospheric. Like yeah, that's retarded. Like retarded in terms of like in universe, but like it doesn't change anything. So whatever. But
But look on
Yeah,
the
we get
left.
it. Lights out.
Look on the left. There's like a different lighted source there.
yep, there's a warm light there. Because it's warm light coming from here.
and black. Barely any black whatsoever. It's like they showed up, turned on all the overhead lamps, and
There's
just started
like-
filming.
there was light
very
in there.
much.
What?
And you can see here under the table, the lighting is different, and you can see shadows. Like even the lighting onto the scepter is different. It's a warm light.
Like in some daily soap operas. Like I said, it's not always like this, but for the most part, it kind of is.
Whoa, with like the daylight, it's gonna be bright? What? That doesn't make any sense.
For the most part, the Avengers doesn't seem to comprehend the concept of contrast. Either the frame is all light and no shadow, or it's all shadow and no light. Which means that unlike Age of Ultron, it doesn't look like a film.
Doesn't look like a... whatever. Let's just move on. I hate this point. He spent too much time on it.
Oh, thank God for that.
Characters versus caricatures. Wait, is he really gonna say the characters are caricatures in the Avengers? What? What? No, he cannot do that. No, I refuse to believe he's gonna say that. Please, no.
Aside from the visual side, one of the bigger problems with the Avengers is in the characters. In the MCU today,
He really said it. The biggest problem is what? That's the best part of the movie. The characters are the best part of the Avengers. What? How do you say that? Wow. Holy mother of God.
Literally every person I've seen has gone. The character dynamics between each of them is the highlight of the film.
When you have the scene of them arguing in the helicarrier, and Cap is like, let's go a few rounds, and Tony's like, what are you without the... Oh yeah, and Cap is like, what are you without the suit? Like, everything about that scene just amazing. Character dynamics and conflict. And you're just like, nah, this is caricatures. Fuck off.
And then there's the whole Coulson death reaction where Tony screams, "We're not soldiers."
Oh yeah, dude. Just Tony and Cap in that film. Jesus Christ, you're really gonna see their caricatures. Fuck off. Wow. I thought the whole MCU was Disney. Well, they bought it apparently in 2009, but it was Paramount at least. Iron Man 1, and then well, apparently they bought it in 2009, and I think
Yes.
and then Incredible Hulk, it was added into the MCU afterwards, like after the fact, even though it had Tony showing up in the last scene of the film. So I don't know how that works. Yeah,
I think it was always in the MCU, but it's kind of black sheep to it all.
Makes sense, I guess. Huh.
they have become very fleshed out to the point where they feel less like fictional characters and more like actual life people. And when
Yeah, that's because it all started from the Avengers. Like that film started these character dynamics. But
when you now go back to this movie, the difference in character right away is jarring. These people don't feel like real people. They feel like exaggerated.
what is he really gonna say that Natasha doesn't feel like a real person? Like we're introduced to her in this film. Like her development only in this film alone. It's fucking phenomenal. The way she's talking to Loki, and then her being chased by a Hulk and everything, and then when she talks to Clint after he's taken out of the brainwashing thing from the Mind Stone. Like, is you really gonna say that these characters are caricatures? Fucking kill yourself.
Caricatoon versions of themselves. What you
No, and yeah, caricatures, and then you have Banner being like, "Oh yeah, I tried to swallow a bullet," and then the other guy spit it out. It's like, bruh, yeah, he's a caricature. Okay, whatever you say.
Also, one of my favourite scenes is when Cap first meets Bruce, and Bruce brings up the Hulk, and Cap's like, "Yeah, I don't care about that. I care about what you can do."
Mm-hmm. Which is really cool because it was like, "Oh, you guys want me for the Hulk," and it's like, no, they really want his expertise, and it's like a big deal for Cap too, for Banner, for when Cap says like, "Oh no, I don't care about that. I care about like you, like your intelligence and everything." It's like, wow, these characters are good, aren't they? Yeah, I like them. Marcus is evil. Yes, I am. I don't fucking care. Filmento, kill yourself. His take on the argument scene is nonsense. Oh, I can't wait to get to that, SK.
you see is yet. Captain America is the upright soldier who does things because he's the upright soldier.
Yeah, that's the point of his character until you get to Winter Soldier, where it's like he's a soldier out of time. So it's like he left a war and then he came back. Like there was no war for him to fight, so he's called back in because there is a war. It's this war with the aliens. So it's like really a huge deal. It's like very different from what he was doing in 1945, 70 years earlier. And then by Winter Soldier, you're exploring the consequences of Avengers, and then also exploring the fact that Bucky's back and everything. So it's like this film. This film didn't exist, and like in Age of Ultron, they would still be caricatures because well. They wouldn't have the setups for their dynamics and everything that it's needed for other films.
Thor is the god of thunder, just fulfilling the duties of the god of thunder. Banner is the little...
That's very... Wow, that's very... What... I forgot the word. Diminutive? It's very... It's not a good thing to talk about in terms of Thor's character when you have the dynamic between his relationship with Loki as a brother. It's especially when he shows the scene where they're talking to each other and he's like, "Come home, like we miss you," and that carries over really well from the first Thor film, I'd say. Like, I really hate this video. Let me go for Thor is far more than that. Yes, Thor is way more than just the god of thunder.
Literal MC equivalent of Jekyll and Hyde without much else. Hawkeye
without much else. Without much else. Jesus, that scene alone has more character. No, than Banner has in like Incredible Hulk. Like for fuck's sake, dude. No.
Like yeah, Banner goes on an arc of self-hatred and not want to be part of it because he thinks he'll damage everything. To the point where he accepts that his involvement does better and ends up helping them all with both sides of him.
Yeah, and it's like they even showed the scene that was cut from Incredible Hulk, just on the screen where Cap was looking at, where he tries to kill himself, which is like, yeah, that scene was I disliked that it was cut from Incredible Hulk. And then you have the dialogue where he says, "Well, I tried to put a bullet in my head, then the other guy spit it out," and he's in constant conflict with that, and he doesn't like him. Which is like, yeah, this is good setting up for his character, that he's like this genius, but he also has to deal with this other side of him that he can't control properly, which is like, it would be great if Endgame didn't ruin that, but you know, whatever.
Is evil. Bad guy magically hypnotizes him to be evil. Stark
yeah, but then he's not evil anymore, and he's like he's mad at himself for the shit he did, and Ned is like, well, you weren't himself and whatnot. But he's like, how many people did I kill? Almost like he cares. Almost like he's just not evil. Like, doesn't he hesitate at one point when he is under Loki's influence?
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, so I'm sorry. You're just retarded, Filmento. Please pay attention to the fucking film.
Apparently still is pained by the fact that he used to sell weapons, but it isn't really evident enough here. Black Widow...
What? What? He's trying to make the world better. That's the point of his character. Like, he used to sell weapons and shit. And he's like, no, I'm gonna try to, like, save the world. And that's what he does by this film. The film starts with him trying to create the renewable source of energy. Because if he can do that to his tower, then he can expand it and make it for, like, the entire world. Which is better. And it's also what S.H.I.E.L.D. is trying to do with the Tesseract. So, kind of works.
Well, the thing is as well, it's consistent with his character in Iron Man 1 because he doesn't trust S.H.I.E.L.D. So he investigates, finds weapons, and he confronts them on it.
Exactly. Yeah, sure, caricature. Like, that isn't a caricature, by the way. He's saying, oh, apparently he wants to help people, but that's not evident. So what is his character? Like, if he's a caricature, he's gonna have at least one discernible trait. But apparently not, so... Okay.
Is fighting to save Hawkeye, which honestly does make her the best character in the movie, but I still wish that this relationship could have been properly shown instead of just briefly hinted at.
Briefly hinted? They did more than just hinting at it. Like, if you pay attention to her dialogue in this film, it's fucking amazing how much they talk about her past with Clint without showing anything. Like, the only thing they show is, like, the two of them fighting together in, like, video footage. But, like, genuinely, her relationship with Hawkeye is one of the best parts of this film. And we do see that relationship, like I said, when Hawkeye is broken from the Mind Stone spell. When he's like, how many did I kill? And she's like, oh, it's not your fault or anything. Because, well, these characters care about each other, and she would definitely be, like, try to help him understand that it's not his fault.
Overall, that we really know about these characters as they appear in this movie. That's all that they are.
That's enough. I've come here to put an end to Loki's schemes.
Compare this to a...
Right. Is that supposed to prove something? Because I like that. He's like, I wanted to get my brother back, and he's, like, supposed to be from Asgard. And that's, like, the thing with Thor that he learns in this film. That it's not, like, Midgardians, the humans are, like, not incapable of defending themselves. He's supposed to defend the 9 realms, but Loki's also, like, as much their problem as he is his. So
I just love the fact he cites a scene where he's showcasing all their different characteristics.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's Cap trying to stop the fight, and Tony jumping head on because he's overconfident, and because he's like, oh no, Loki's ours. And yeah, that's like, wow, good character.
Age of Ultron actually spends time exploring these characters and who they are inside. Thanks to Scarlet Witch, we really get into the heads of our main heroes. Tony Stark feels responsibility for the coming doom, which gives him an unhealthy obsession to fix things. Captain America, despite acting like an exemplary, unbreakable leader, still is haunted by his past and the inescapable feeling that he doesn't really belong here.
Yeah, something that was already explored in other films. Like, you know, this small film, you may never have heard of it, Filmento. It's called Avengers. Like, you know, you have this dialogue between Cap and Fury, where Fury's like, where Cap is like, I got into the ice 7 years ago. When I woke up, people told me like we won the war, but it doesn't feel like we won. And it's like, you know, good dialogue exploring the fact that he's like out of time. And then Fury hands him the folder and is like, well, we may have like something else for you. Like, it's exploring the fact that he is out of time and he is a soldier without a cause at this point. But, you know, I guess that only happens in Age of Ultron. And, of course, it never showed up in Winter Soldier, you know. I can't confirm. Winter Soldier does not explore Cap's character in that way. No, sir.
No, yeah, naturally. Age of Ultron does it first, of course.
Yes. It's just... like, I don't... whatever.
is afraid that he brings only destruction and that he's not good enough to protect the people his duty it is to protect.
Yeah, that's the point of his character in Avengers as well. Like, he was supposed to protect his own brother in Thor, and then in Avengers, his brother is causing destruction because he wasn't able to save him in the end of Thor. Don't you see how that... He's just not paying attention to Avengers, I guess. Okay. What are you saying, Tin?
I'm saying calm down, calm down.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I really love Avengers and he's being retarded.
Black Widow is genuinely ashamed of her past and...
Wow, because that's never explored in the Avengers. Like, you know, the scene where she talks to Loki, where she says, like, she's in the red with Clint, but she's trying to, like, make it right. That's why she's trying to save him. Like, and then Loki mentions her past and she starts crying. Like, yeah, she may be faking that crying because she wants to know what Loki's plan is. But Jesus Christ, are you really gonna tell me she's not ashamed in Avengers? Fucking kill yourself, Filmento. Fucking hell.
Who she is, in the same way that Banner is ashamed of who he is, which
that was in the fucking Avengers, you stupid fucking cunt.
That's the point of his character in Avengers, you moron. Does he need everything fucking explicitly spelled out for him? Is that the point of this video? He's like, Age of Ultron does it explicitly, while Avengers does it implicitly. So I don't know, I couldn't pick up on Avengers because I'm fucking retarded. Like, this is what this video seems like to me. He just can't comprehend subtlety in films. And like, yeah, Age of Ultron, I wouldn't call that film like unsubtle as well. But I just, it's so dumb, so fucking dumb.
Did you actually watch it or?
I don't know. I was gonna say I feel like he had some bias, but I don't even know if it's bias. I think he's just dumb, to be honest.
Creates a direct connection between them, and it doesn't stop there. We also get an inside look into Hawkeye with his family that nobody knew existed. Plus,
so that would be caricaturistic, like you said, where it's just, oh, he's a family man now. Okay. Like, don't you see how your own standards would fuck with this argument? You dumbass. Man, I can't wait to get you the Loki stuff. Oh no, SK. I'm scared.
Oh no.
Let's not who also have their own very effective character building backstory, the effects of which you can really see in them.
And the second shell hits, but it doesn't go off. Not on the side of the shell.
Yeah, I like the twins in this film. I think they're good, especially Scarlet Witch. But yeah, I think they're like the strongest part of the film by far.
One word.
Stark. Every effort to save us, every shift in the bricks, I
We
think.
just pause because of copyright.
This will set it off. We wait for 2 days for Tony Stark to kill us.
You could maybe defend the Avengers by saying that these characters overall just weren't as fleshed out in 2012 as they were in 2015. Even
yes, that. Yeah,
that
is yeah, that is how it works. Wait, there's a difference between like the beginning of the MCU and like when Age of Ultron is like phase 2 already. It already had Iron Man. The Iron Man trilogy already existed by the time Age of Ultron existed. Thor 1 and 2, you already had Captain America 1 and Winter Soldier as well. So yeah, I would argue that the characters weren't as fleshed out by then, but they still got development in Avengers because, yeah, that film is good as well. Yeah.
Though I would argue against this. But even if so, it doesn't
what?
really change.
It's one film. Well, okay, you're first of all, you're retarded because you didn't show that the fact that there were more films than just that to develop those characters. But you're fucking retarded for the fact that Iron Man 3, Winter Soldier, and Thor 2, those 3 films came out after the Avengers and before Age of Ultron. Like, that's how those characters got to the development they have in Age of Ultron, and it's why Civil War is so good, because by that point you already have enough development from them. It's like a TV show. From the beginning, the characters aren't as fleshed out as by the end. I know this is a hugely confusing concept for you, Filmento, but characters need time to develop. Fucking hell.
Yeah, I mean, a good example is probably Fitz. Like, with his development, it really gets fleshed out season 4 to season 5.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like the
But you
thing is,
need-
I love Fitz. Until FZZT, like he's like a normal character, and then we see his relationship with Gemma start developing, and then when you get to the end of season 1, it's like, oh, I get why they spent an entire season to reach this moment, because it's like we needed the development, and by that point you already understand Fitz's character a lot more. And then like we have season 2. I don't really want to spoil it for people who haven't seen it. But then by like the end of season 2, his character has already changed a lot, and you understand like, oh, what happened in the beginning of season 1 affected him a lot, and it's like setting up all this stuff so that when you get to season 5, which is like the culmination of his character, and you see the episode, what's the name of the episode? You probably know which one I'm talking about, Jeb. Like the episode.
I know
for
what
Fitz.
one. The Devil's Complex, I think.
Let me check. But yeah, that episode when you get to it, you're like, oh, like all of that, what happened before this was to get to this moment. This is the moment to get. This is the moment this entire show has been culminating towards. So, which is basically what I'd say is like Civil War. Where it's like all the development to get to this moment where they clash. So it's like you need time to develop these characters. Like if you're not just gonna get to that point with season 1 Fitz, you need to give him a lot more development to get there. The Devil Complex, yes. That's what the episode's called.
I don't know what you mean.
Yeah, no. Fuck development, I guess. Fuck taking time. Ugh.
Change anything, does it? All the main characters in the Avengers, including the villain, which we'll get to later, are more or less shallow caricatures.
What? Is he really saying that Loki is a caricature as well? Loki. Wow. He's criticizing the most beloved Marvel villain other than fucking Thanos. Like, fuck, Jesus Christ. Oh my god, are you fucking retarded? Wow.
Yes. Loki, who got discovered that his heritage is false, seen as unloved by his father and his brother, and has no power but one set character.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if it weren't for the Thor movie, yeah, I could agree, I think, kinda. But Thor, the Loki's development in Thor is like so fucking good to get to Avengers. And it's like Thor isn't a very good film. I have one major gripe with it, but it's like Loki's character is really well handled in it. So, ugh.
Would we say after the first act, Ultron becomes a caricature?
Sure. Yeah, he's basically Tony, but retarded.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah, but we're just nitpicking, I guess. Whatever.
Whereas in Age of Ultron, they are actual people with actual depth. If you still don't agree, consider this. In the Avengers, the bad guy makes the hero do stuff by just magically hypnotizing them. In Age of Ultron, the bad guy makes the hero do stuff by amplifying their inner flaws and fears. One of
okay, this why is one better than the other inherently?
I don't understand.
Like, they both make sense in context, so why is one better than the other? Like, yeah, you could argue that in Age of Ultron this explores the character more, like, further, like, in a deeper level, but I would agree it's deeper. I'd agree it's, like, just continuing the development we've seen, because we know that Tony has always been like, oh, we need to, like, like, we know after Avengers he was like, oh yeah, there's this entire universe out there that we need to shield Earth from. And then you have Iron Man 3, him continuing to say that. So it's like, yeah, if he thinks, oh yeah, it's all gonna be his fault if they lose. It's like, yeah, that's in character for him to take all of this, to think it'd be his fault if anything happened to them. So, yeah, I'm sorry. It's just a natural progression of his character. It's not better because it's deeper, because it's not even deeper. So.
Yeah, and the thing is, what Loki does isn't just quote unquote brainwashing. It's actually removing the heart of someone and consuming it with darkness and putting them in their worst position.
Mm-hmm.
These methods feels like a cartoon, the other like real life. I'll let you.
Real life! Real life! Yes, real life! Uh-huh. Wow. Scarlet Witch feels like real life. Oh my god. We have another Filmento gem. Okay. This feels like real life.
You haven't had a witch come up behind you and use reality warping powers that are from the Big Bang on you?
No, I can't say I have. No, sorry. I guess that's just
Oh,
not
you
something
missed
that
out.
happens in Brazil.
Common
Brazil,
figure.
life.
What? And it's all. What? I imagine he's just watching WandaVision. He's like, yeah, no, this like feels like real life. I remember at that time I went to like 2 cities from here, and I saw that the entire city was under this witch's control. Yes. For fuck's sake, dude, this is so dumb. Wow, Filmento, you're a genius. Congrats.
Which?
Conflict within. No.
Stop.
Is he really gonna say
Okay.
that in Age of Ultron it's better than the Avengers? The conflict within,
Dude.
really?
The Avengers took 2/3 of a film of conflict.
Yeah, so that when
Made
they
you
get together
understand.
in the third act, it's a satisfying payoff. And Age of Ultron had like what, 3 scenes about something like that.
And they used probably the perfect way to unite them by using the common person for each one.
Yep.
Continuing off on the previous point, next up is the topic of domestic conflict. Since these movies are about a big team of heroes, there has to be conflict not only with the villains, but also among the heroes. And
There doesn't have to be. Like, that's...
It's
It's
not
not necessary, yeah. He says shit like it's necessary, but it's like, that's not how it works.
Does he think it's necessary to break out a game of Among Us while in a fight?
I just like you could probably pick like one of the best Agents of Shield episodes where the characters aren't in conflict with each other and just in conflict with the villain. Would he argue that it's poorly written then? Because I guess he just would by that standard, which is retarded.
If he did, I'd kill him.
to be fair, movies do feature this domestic conflict, but because we already established that the heroes in the Avengers are very much like shallow cartoon characters.
Yeah, we've established that. Okay, yeah. So, oh my god, so this entire point relies on his first point being right, which it isn't. So it's gonna be, wow, okay, so the premise for this point is already wrong. Amazing.
That kind of by default means that the conflict as well is much more shallow and cartoony than in Age of Ultron. To give you some
I would agree if like his premise was right, but it's not.
Here are some of the most central domestic conflicts of the Avengers. Captain America clashes with Tony Stark because their upright soldier and billionaire playboy personalities don't really mix. Thor clashes with everyone because he's the outsider god. Banner clashes with himself.
That's the diminutive of his character, but sure, you could argue that's one of the reasons. Like, I'd say it's more he feels the duty to protect Midgard because he's gonna be the next king. So he needs to protect the 9 realms. Plus, it's his brother here. So, yeah. It's more than just he's an outsider, but sure. Let's say that's that. Whatever.
Plus, it's also because in 4, he was the only one that could stop Loki.
Yep. Yeah, they only stopped the destroyer that Loki sent because he was able to wield Mjolnir, so...
as well as with Black Widow and Thor as Hulk. In of themselves, these conflicts might seem fine, but when you compare them...
But when you compare the to Age of Ultron, they're fucking amazing. Yes. I imagine that's how his sentence is gonna go.
The conflicts of Age of Ultron, not so much. Because
Kill
everything
yourself.
that the Avengers does, Age of Ultron does much better. With
Wow. Wow, what a line. Wow, what a line. What a fucking line. Let's see what he's
much more depth. Captain America once again clashes with Stark, only not just because of personalities, but because Stark's methods of saving the world are in direct disagreement with Cap's methods. Banner...
That's also what they do in Avengers. Because Cap is just like happy to follow orders, and then Tony's like, "Are really just gonna follow orders? Like, we need to look into S.H.I.E.L.D. and everything." And then they look and they find the Hydra stuff. It's like, oh, maybe not following orders all the time would make sense. Huh, that's interesting. And like that establishes how his character is gonna be explored in Winter Soldier afterwards. So, isn't that neat? I think that's neat.
Also, Cap literally in the film goes, "You wouldn't let the other guy crawl over you with the wire," and then Tony goes, "I'd just cut the wire."
Yeah, Tony's like always looking for a solution, and he doesn't understand like Cap's more looking out for the little guy thing. Tony's more like on the level of we need to put a suit of armor around the world, like he says in Age of Ultron. Like he looks for a better solution than just sacrificing yourself or do shit like that, which is like two different ways of trying to see how they'd save the world. So I don't know. It seems like they did the same thing in Avengers.
Once again himself, only this time much more effectively, because now we actually see how he hurts and terrorizes civilians as...
I'm sorry. Did you not see Incredible Hulk? Like, that's the point. There's a progression between Incredible Hulk and Avengers. Like, I'm sorry, I know that film is bad and that people just want to pretend that it's not in the MCU, but it is, and it's part of Banner's character, and that's why in Avengers he's like that. Like, we don't need to see to know the character. Like, only in Avengers it's effective. But if you know Incredible Hulk, you know why Banner is that way in Avengers. If you just have him destroy everything, he's just gonna be more in the I'm gonna destroy everything. But like, they needed Hulk in the final fight, and it needed to be Banner's choice, because that was a payoff of the I'm always angry, when like, cause like everyone throughout the film was asking how he controls it. So it's like you're just. It's like two different situations, and he's missing context from the larger MCU.
Yeah, and what diminishes the Age of Ultron Hulk one, he's not in control, he's under the influence, whereas in the Avengers, it's all his control.
Mm-hmm. And in Incredible Hulk, it was him. Like, he wasn't just being mind-controlled, which is like what made him be the way he is in the beginning of Avengers, so... Sorry.
Yeah.
As Hulk, he also clashes with Black Widow when he constantly tries to run away from her by convincing himself that he's too much of a monster for her, which is a lot deeper.
Yeah, that's also what he did in Incredible Hulk. I don't know if you know this film from the MCU also already did this, and like, they continue exploring it in the Avengers. Like, this isn't a new concept, this isn't deeper, this is stuff the MCU has done continuously, and it's not better. I'm sorry.
And isn't their relationship one of the most criticized things?
Yeah, because it like comes out of nowhere. Like, I don't really have an issue with it, but yeah, it does come out of nowhere in this film.
And more injured than her just physically running away from him. Then we also have Thor, whose conflict actually...
Well, yeah. Well, no. We also see it in Avengers. Like, he just showed the scene of her running away from him. Yeah, that's the scene where he loses control. And then he just... and then they put him in the Loki containment thing, right? No, they put Thor there. But they just... Yeah, they drop him from the helicarrier because they're shooting at him with a Quinjet, and then he jumps on the Quinjet and falls onto the building. So, I'm sorry. They also do that in Avengers, of him losing control and hurting people. But then he gets to the final fight because they need him to be Hulk by that point. So, yeah, he causes destruction. He causes Natasha to be completely fearful of him. So, yeah, I'm sorry, but they also do that in Avengers. So you're more retarded than I thought. Congratulations.
Organically evolves, because this time he too clashes with himself.
Wasn't this kind of out of nowhere in the film? But okay.
Use your words, buddy.
I have more than enough words to describe you, Stark.
Thor, then why would you bring
Stark is right.
And of course, that isn't nearly the end of...
That didn't prove anything, but sure.
the domestic conflict in Age of Ultron. We also have the twins changing sides. We also have the question of whose side is Vision actually on. We also have...
Do we have that question?
Okay.
Do we have that question?
Literally, he goes, Cap goes, whose side are you on? And then he just answers, that's it, done.
Yeah, like, that's all we have. Is like, oh, I'm on nobody's side? Or like, I'm on the side of life or something like that? I don't remember properly.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's something like that. He's like, yeah, he fights for the Avengers, and then after that, he's part of the Avengers. Like, he's part of the Avengers until he dies in Infinity War. So yeah, that was, wow, very deep exploration of his character.
So therefore, can't we use Nick Fury clashing with mainly Tony during the film?
Mm-hmm. And Thor as well, because they're like, oh, why did you like do this, Tony? Yes, and then Nick Fury points to Thor and said, because of him, like he showed us that alien life is able to exist. Like it exists out there, and we are like extremely underprepared. So he also clashes with Thor with that.
And if we want to stretch it so far like this, we could go Nick Fury versus the World Council.
Oh yeah, definitely. Especially by the time we get to Winter Soldier, if we didn't have Avengers, that conflict wouldn't have been so meaningful. So Avengers sets up that conflict really well, to be honest. So I'm sorry, Filmento, you're wrong again.
Have a primary philosophical conflict of the Avengers acting like world police and consequently being viewed as monsters by some. Even with the actual physical domestic battles, Age of Ultron does outperform the Avengers, because this time these battles don't take place just on a military helicarrier or in the woods in the middle of nowhere, but
what about New York?
We'll ignore New York just to satisfy his point, and Germany. We'll ignore them.
Okay then.
Was it Germany? Yeah, it was Germany.
Where they fight Loki? Yeah, that was Berlin. Yeah.
Yeah, but we'll
instead
ignore
on
that.
Sure.
A densely populated area where innocent people are getting hurt as a direct result of this conflict.
Yeah, that's like if it weren't for Civil War, this would be a huge problem. It's basically how Man of Steel has them destroy the city by the end of the film, and like if it weren't for BVS just addressing it, even though it doesn't do that well of a job, but it does address it, it would be like a huge fucking problem. Like it still is, but you know. I knew you were gonna be sad.
Also, it's not really a problem with using this. It's not really a character conflict because again, Hulk isn't in control.
And Tony's trying to keep damage to a minimum. Like he crashes into a building that has no one inside, and he's like, "Oh, how fast can I buy this building?" Like he's generally just not trying to hurt anyone, like even financially. So yeah, it's I don't know, like it's not their fault, to be honest. It's basically Scarlet Witch's fault that all those people die.
If you're still not convinced, let me ask you this. Out of these two options, which do you think is the better reason for main characters to argue and fight? One, because their beliefs and actions are in direct disagreement with one.
But that's what happens in Avengers. Whatever.
Another. Or two, because this magical scepter is magically making them angry at one.
That's not... Did you miss the point of the... Did he actually just miss the point of the scene?
Hang on, we're gonna do something better. We're gonna run through his line of logic and contradict it, because if he's using this, but defending Scarlet Witch by its amplifying, then he's being a hypocrite.
Oh yeah, actually, because yeah, she's the one that showed the nightmares and everything, and then she was controlling Hulk in the end. So
there we go.
Yeah, so this is contradictory, especially when like her power comes from the Mind Stone, so it's like generally the same thing.
Yep. So by his standards, he's a hypocrite. His point doesn't stand.
Awesome. Yay.
One another is yours.
Logic and No.
Stop.
If you're gonna argue from logic, there's no conceivable way that you're gonna say that Age of Ultron is better.
And if you're gonna argue from emotion, I'm just saying Coulson's death and them avenging him is far better than anything Age of Ultron hopes it could do.
Yep. That's like, I agree completely, and I love Age of Ultron, but no, sorry, Avengers it's so much better.
As was mentioned before, the final key difference between the Avengers and Age of Ultron revolves around the topic of villains. If I've understood things correctly...
Is he really gonna say that Ultron is better than Loki? Oh no. No. Oh my god. I'm dreading this. This is gonna be fun. Is it SK? I feel like this is just for your own amusement. Quicksilver death though. Yes, that amazing death where he could have just dodged the bullets. Like they even established that he was fast enough to see bullets coming from under him, but whatever. Yeah.
Stop using logic.
I'm sorry.
Currently, for many fans, is one of the best MCU characters. And
characters, I wouldn't say villains, sure. Like, other than Ego and Thanos in Infinity War, yeah, he's the best villain. Well, could even argue he's better than Thanos in Infinity War because his plan actually makes sense.
Killmonger. Killmonger's the best.
Ah, yes. Yes. Let's kill the white people. Let's genocide this entire race because black people were oppressed. Like, our ancestors, even though we never left our country because we're isolationists, so, you know, that doesn't make sense. But whatever. Yes, Killmonger's great. Yeah, people watching, I fucking hate Killmonger. He's a terrible villain.
He is.
And to argue against that. Maybe he is, I don't know. But as for Loki being one of the best MCU villains, no. The reason I...
Wait, how can he be one of the best MCU characters but not one of the best MCU villains?
He's a villain. If he's one of the best characters, he's automatically one of the best villains. What are you saying?
This guy is retarded and it hurts.
I don't understand. Okay.
I say this is the Avengers never makes it clear enough who Loki is or what he wants or for what reason.
But we have Thor for that, you fucking monk. And yes, it does. It actually does. He wants power. Like, did you not see the scene in Berlin where he makes people kneel? Dude, what is he saying? My head hurts.
I'm more and more convinced he hasn't actually seen this film.
He confronted Thor, and that was kind of outlined as okay.
Killmonger is among Mysterio, Killian, and Ultron for the most broken villains. Other than like, no, yeah, I'm gonna say this: Killmonger is the worst MCU villain. He's trash. Like, his reasons are fucking contradictory. His plan makes zero fucking sense. And the reception makes him hate even more. The reception from like mainstream audience.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to back that.
Yeah, same. He's beloved, and I haven't got a fucking clue why.
Yeah, Killian, like, his motive is thin as thin. Yes, his motive is his motive is thin as fuck. But I don't know. I'd still argue he's better than Killmonger. Like, it's still retarded. Like, he basically wants to, like, create terrorists because Tony ignored him for one night. Like, that's the Electro trope. Like, it turned to a million. It's so fucking retarded. But, you know. Anyway, Loki, he's a good villain.
There is one brief.
Darren Cross seems pretty weak. Well, that was the one that I was gonna reference. But like, his character makes sense in Ant-Man. He's like the best part of Ant-Man, to be honest. He's like the least broken, at least. Which is like not saying much, but anyway, his character is consistent, even if it's thin and, you know, pretty kind of shit.
No, the reason I say this is because the Avengers never makes it clear enough who Loki is or what he wants or for what reason. There is one brief mention of it, but blink and you'll miss it.
So there is. You said it never does, and then you said there is a brief mention, so that is contradictory. Plus, you know, it's not briefly mentioned. The scene in Berlin is pretty clear what he wants. And then you have him trying to destroy the Avengers from within in when he's inside the helicarrier. Like, you just can see his motivation there as well, but whatever, I guess.
And the final act, but we'll ignore it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like, you have Thor trying to convince him in the final act, and he's like, nah, it can't be stopped or anything. Like, his dialogue in that when he's fighting Thor is good as well, but whatever, no character.
Your precious Earth. Do you remember none of that?
I remember a shadow. Living in the shade of your greatness. I remember
that's from
you
Thor.
tossing me into an abyss.
Yeah, that's from Thor. That's carrying over. We know this from Thor. You don't need to repeat it so much. Like, yeah, we understand his character motivations.
I've blinked 10 times and it's still going.
Yeah, like, you say it's blink and you miss it, despite the dialogue taking up, like, I don't know, what, a minute, 30 seconds, something like that.
Was and should. So you take the world I love as recompense for your imagined slights. No, the Earth is under my protection, Loki.
Let me just pause, but yeah. By the way, nice thumbnail, y'all. Yeah, that was a... That's a really nice thumbnail, I agree.
Even if you did pick up on it, the villain motivation you just heard still is pretty problematic. Firstly,
Why?
because it's a motivation for a standalone Thor movie, not an Avengers movie.
What
As
the
in,
fuck? What?
if Loki's problem is only with Thor, what's the point of having the other Avengers in?
His problem is not only with Thor, and even if it was, it's Thor's. It's the place that Thor loves. Like Thor just said it. And if he wants to take revenge on Thor, don't you think taking over and ruling the planet that Thor loves is like a good way to do it?
Gee, I wonder why I have conflict with the other people that tried to stop me. I wonder.
Yeah, I wonder. This is so fucking dumb. I'm sorry, Filmento. Please, just delete your channel. Like, genuinely, fuck you. This is so fucking retarded.
That's worthless.
Secondly, you can't just casually mention the motivation with the assumption that the audience already knows where it comes from. And before
Why? Okay, okay. You can just briefly mention the motivation because it's establishing a motivation. If you just make a big deal out of it, it's gonna be probably forced dialogue and it's not gonna be natural within the story, so it's gonna be bad. Like, I'm sorry, it's just how it works. And like, the way Thanos does in Infinity War, I'd argue is good because he likes to talk to people and talk about his plans because he wants people on his side. So that makes sense, I'd say. But in Avengers, not only do they establish it in a quick scene, which is like, oh yeah, you already got that out of the way in a scene that makes sense, and it also builds within Thor's character and developing from the first Thor film. It was also established in the first Thor film. So it's like consistent, it's building up on that, and yeah, they do mention again for people that need to that haven't seen the Thor film. So I can't see how that's bad in any way, shape, or form.
before you motivation was fleshed out in the first Thor movie, that doesn't matter. I'm not watching the first Thor, I'm watching this movie. That's
the film that was released right after Thor, and it's the same villain as that film for a reason. It's like, have you ever heard of the phrase interconnected universe? That's what the MCU is, you moron. Like, and didn't he in his Endgame video say like, oh, because of the 22 film build up, that's why this is so impactful. And then he's like, oh no, in Avengers that doesn't matter what happens in Thor. What matters is what happened in Avengers. It's like, you're contradicting yourself, you retard.
Oh. It's like saying that motivation was never explained in Infinity War, but instead only in the first Guardians of the Galaxy. Even if these movies exist in the same fictional universe, that's not how that works. And therefore,
what do you mean that's not how it works? What are you saying? Did you just arbitrarily make this rule? It's like, no, you can't do that. Why? Because I said so. Fuck's sake.
The villain in the Avengers doesn't work, especially when compared to Age of Ultron. Because I initially discarded this film as insignificant, I also ended up doing the same.
What do you mean insignificant? It's like the biggest thing in the MCU, which leads to Civil War, which leads to the Avengers not being together in Infinity War, which leads to them fucking losing and Thanos snapping. So it's not insignificant. So you were wrong back then. Like, you're still wrong now, but for other reasons.
Same with. But upon a closer look, turns out that Ultron is a strangely great villain. Is he as the trailers make him seem? I can't say. But he is, for sure, one of the best MCU villains.
Bruh.
Oh no. Thanos.
Oh my god. Like Thanos.
And of course, Malekith. And this is...
What? That was... Oh, okay, he's making a joke. Okay, yeah, because he showed Ronan and he said Malekith. Okay. Yeah, because it's the joke that the MCU has poor villains, even though by this point, the Guardians 2 had already come out, and we know that Ego is a fantastic villain, so, you know, fuck herself. But, wow, really? He's as good as Thanos. Genius.
This is because things that were problems with Loki are strengths with Ultron. Within this one movie, we get to know exactly who Ultron is and what he wants and why. In essence, Ultron is Tony Stark.
But we also know that about Loki. Like, what he is, he's he's basically the god of mischief who's been lied to his whole life. That all of this from the Avengers, not really counting Thor. let me see what it exactly he says.
With Ultron. Within this one movie, we get to know exactly who Ultron is and what he wants and why.
What he wants. Okay, so what he wants is power and to take over Earth. And why? Because he felt powerless due to his neglect in the first Thor film, and because he wanted to take revenge on his brother by taking over the planet that his brother loved. So, I don't know. Seems like the same thing happens in Avengers, doesn't it?
Also, I kind of like how he's going. Ultron's quite more developed. I'm like, yeah, this is where it introduces Ultron. Loki's already got development existing.
Mm-hmm.
You have to progress it. You can't start from scratch with Loki.
Yeah, like Loki has a very complex character arc. Ultron is just in this film. Like Loki, he has a character until Infinity War. Like when he says like Odin's son in Infinity War, it's like a big deal, and it only matters because of the first Thor film, because of the Avengers, because of everything we've seen. So his arc carries over for more than one film instead of Ultron, who's just in this film. So of course they would focus more on developing him than Loki, even though Loki also gets developed in Avengers. But I digress.
Ultron is Tony Stark. Only instead of being driven by emotion like Tony Stark, he is driven by logic, which gives this movie a nice running theme of emotion versus logic. Just like
if that's the case, then Ultron is fucking retarded. There's loads of scenes where he's being driven by emotion instead of logic. Like, isn't there a scene where he says, I think I carried myself too far or something like that? Like, there's a scene where he says something like that. And it's like, or the moment where he's talking to Black Widow and he destroys his body with his new one, where he says, whatever doesn't kill you only makes you stronger. He destroys his body. Why? Oh, that doesn't make sense in terms of being logical. That's only for show. So that's emotional. So by the logic you're using, he's a contradictory character, which is true, but you know.
Stark, Ultron has an unhealthy obsession to save the world, and in his logical mind, the only proper way to truly save the world is to allow it to evolve, which history has proven is best done by fire. And the only
history hasn't proven that, you moron. That's not evolution. He's gonna create he said the only thing living on Earth is gonna be metal after he's done. So that's not allowing evolution to take care of it. That's him shaping the world to the version he wants, which is not saving the world. It's his motivations are contradictory to what his character is.
It's not evolution. It's just replacing humans.
Pretty much. Yep.
Reason this evolution hasn't come is because each time the Avengers have been there to stop it.
I'm sorry. I know you mean well. You just didn't think it through. You want to
Let me just pause for copyright.
protect the world, but you don't want it to change. How is humanity saved if it's not allowed to evolve?
See, this was when they established the character motivation. Well, but this scene is only like 1 minute long. Like, it's blink and you miss it, I'd say. Like, I don't know. I can see his character motivation here. Seems kind of weird to me.
Evolve. There's only one path to peace. The Avengers' extinction.
Immediately eliminated.
Threat of change, you mean
Accordingly,
eliminate? Hang on.
I have no clue what that means.
So he's trying to say that he proposed change with a threat and then got killed. I'm like, no, he just threatened to kill them. Of course they gotta fight
change,
back.
yeah. Change means our death. Yes. For fuck's sake. So dumb. And it's like, not only that, but after that he threatens the entire human race. So, you know, that's not change. That's genocide. There's a difference. I don't know if you know this, Filmento. Genocide and change aren't the same thing. Jesus Christ.
It's a form of change.
Explained villain motivation that concerns not just one hero, but the entirety of the Avengers. The Avengers...
Wait, so are you saying that in the Loki, Thor's brother, is gonna have a more emotional connection with Thor than any of the other Avengers? What? Wow, I could never have thought of that. And like, this is also untrue because Ultron has clearly has a more emotional connection with his conflict with Tony than any of the other Avengers. So he's wrong again.
Unsurprisingly.
Yeah.
Believe that life and humanity means traditional organic life. Ultron, however, views life as a more broad concept, and the next step in human evolution is for life to become artificial. Emotion versus logic. Pretty good. But even though Ultron is a robot, that doesn't mean he is without emotion.
But you just said he's pure logic, you moron. What are you saying?
Hang on, no, bro. Okay. Robots can't have emotions. Please stop. You're killing me inside.
Jesus Christ.
They don't. I'm in pain and it hurts.
Fucking hell, dude.
You can mimic emotions, but they can't actually. Filmento. Shut the fuck up. Stop. Go home. Go sleep. Stop.
And then go watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 4 and learn what an actual good AI villain is.
Yes.
But, dude, Ada is so good. Like, especially when compared to Ultron, because like she only exists in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. because of Ultron, because of the Sokovia Accords outlawed any AI. So it's like, she's so good. Like, I can't talk much because I don't want to spoil for people who haven't seen it, but yes, watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 4 is the best thing to ever come out of the MCU.
Yes.
Throughout the movie, Ultron is tormented by the idea that he is nothing but a soulless photocopy of Tony Stark. And
wow, he's tormented. It's emotion. Almost like he's not acting out of, like, logic. That's weird, right? It's not like Filmento said that he acts only out of logic.
Yes, this machine is tormented.
And like, yeah, I see that he doesn't want to be like Tony. Like when Klaus says that, oh, you're one of Tony's machines. And he's like, I'm nothing like Tony. And he cuts Klaus' arm off. So like, that's not logic, that's emotion. But whatever you say, dude.
Further, this idea starts to consume him and turn him into an unhinged maniac, and combine the witty charisma of Tony Stark with the paranoid schizophrenia of a gigantic AI, the result.
Paranoid schizophrenia of a gigantic AI. Wow. What a sentence.
Aren't those two things meant to be not using logic? That's, okay, Filmento, okay, sure.
This is such cancer.
Result really is unlike anything else in the MCU.
Yeah, because it's bad. And then you have Ada in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. It's like, oh, it's the same concept, but done in a way that makes sense. That's, wow. Who would have thought?
I look like Iron Man. Stark is... I'm sorry. I'm sure that's gonna be okay. I'm sorry. It's just, I don't understand. Don't compare me with Stark.
To be clear, I'm not here to change anyone's mind. You like the Avengers? Fine. You like Age of Ultron? Fine. I just thought that after all these years of hearing only one perspective of the argument, I'd finally offer the opposite. And
you did it terribly.
Yeah,
well
I'm sorry.
Good job.
You fucked up.
Like, I don't think there's a single way that I could think Age of Ultron is better than Avengers. Like, instead of like in terms of writing, in terms of like visuals, sure, like that doesn't really matter to me as much. But like in terms of writing, is there anything that Age of Ultron does better?
No.
Okay, yeah, it's just like Age of Ultron, the plot is broken, and like, yeah, it explores the characters in a way that like I enjoy, but Avengers also does that, and I'd argue it does it better because it integrates with the plot in a way that makes more sense. So, I don't know. He's a paranoid, schizophrenic former patient at Arkham, the kind of mind the Joker attracts. What do you expect from learn from him? Yes, that's Ultron in a nutshell.
There you have it.
Oh, the video's done. Okay,
Oh,
that was a video. Yes.
That was so much worse than the other one.
That was so bad. Both of the videos were so bad.
How does he do these terrible videos but have a seemingly based one about Transformers 5?
I mean, I was looking at some of his videos. He actually has some based videos. It's just, I imagine his arguments aren't good either, but like at least the titles seem to make sense. Yeah, let me check the channel because I remember seeing some videos and I'm like, oh, this is fair enough. Let's see. Well, he has a video saying that Man of Steel is how to build the greatest DCU movie, so oof. But he calls Wonder Woman 1984, he says, Anatomy of a Failure, so that film is shit. He praises Days of Future Past. Oh, he criticizes Tenet because he's retarded. He also he criticizes X-Men Origins Wolverine. Like, he has some videos where it's like, oh, this isn't like that retarded, at least from the title. But when you get to like the actual arguments, I imagine they're gonna be as bad as this one because apparently, like, I'm sorry, he can't argue for shit.
If ever makes a good video, it's from luck.
Yeah, pretty much. It's the broken clock. Strikes twice. Is right twice a day. It's like the only way he could get a video to be good, I imagine. So yeah, thoughts on these videos? Let's go from left to right, just starting with Jeb.
Okay. So imagine having a blender full of shit, and you just blend it all together. You make it into a drink, and you try drinking it, and you basically throw it up and then want to kill yourself. That's Filmento. In a nutshell, I feel. It's not even funny at points because it's too like it's too retarded. You want to put it out of its misery. You kind of feel sorry for it at this point. That's my thoughts on this.
Yeah. 10.
What the fuck? just what? Just why? When? How? What? All the when, why, where, how, all that shit. Just why? Why the fuck? How the fuck? When the fuck? And how the fuck? Just the fuck?
Yeah, pretty much. Like, ugh. It's impressive how bad his arguments get. And like, we watched the TASM 2 video. That was bad, but like, I don't even know which one is worse at this point. I argue like this Age of Ultron is the worst because it's wow. It's really impressive how bad his arguments were. Just say that Age of Ultron is better than Avengers. Like, he just ignores context and everything to provide this point, and I don't really see why. Like, I think he just didn't pay attention while watching Avengers, because like he used to say that he liked the Avengers and didn't like Age of Ultron. So I don't think it's confirmation bias. So I have no clue why he's so retarded when it comes to these two films. And then you have the Endgame one, which is just like also fucking stupid. Just thinking that the characters are still consistent and that everything makes sense when it of course doesn't, because well, it's Endgame, that film is shit. So I really want to understand how Filmento is successful on YouTube, who the fuck watches him, and how he's able to just continually come out with such bad takes. The Zod.
Oh god. Well, both of them were just cancer. Makes me want to eat a cactus.
Eat a cactus.
But I'll say the Age of Ultron one was worse because just the amount of misrepresentation of the Avengers. Fuck me.
Yeah, he seems to miss a lot of context for the Avengers that would like change his mind, change his points completely.
I just want to die.
Sam.
So yeah, as always, a cheerful bunch here at ECUM, just finishing the ECUM wanting to die. But yeah.
I've got a surprise for everyone.
Oh god.
I love guys.
Yeah, that's Happy Valentine's Day, everyone. That's our Valentine's Day
Happy
gift.
Valentine's
Yeah.
And it's totally miserable and just wish you had a girlfriend. I'm so lonely.
My girlfriend's asleep. So.
Well, that's in the chat. Anyway, today has been, I was gonna say fun. Talking to you guys was fun. Watching the videos wasn't. But yeah, Filmento is shit. I guess if you wanna like plug your Twitter or your channels, feel free to do it.
Oh, okay. But my channel has like one video on it, and I made it months ago. So if you like channels that have no content, then yeah, sure, go ahead and subscribe to that if you want.
Yeah. You're making like a video on Ghost of Tsushima, right?
Yeah, I'm doing one talking about its ending, basically.
Interesting. Yeah, I still need to play that.
Perfect end.
I guess. Would you argue it's the perfect ending, like Endgame?
Well, I think Endgame's beat it out as more perfect, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's hard to beat Endgame. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just too perfect.
Yeah. Jeb, as always, I imagine you have nothing to plug, right?
I have something to plug. It's called, this channel is ECUM. It does podcasts of covering people, and yeah, check it out, guys. Check out ECUM.
Yeah, I heard some pretty interesting stuff about this channel, so yeah, check it out. It's gonna be in the description.
Yeah, I've heard it only gets 20 people though, and that they don't know the format, but they tried watching. But trust me, it's okay.
What about you, Tin? What do you have to plug?
I've got nothing.
Well, anyway, your channel and your Twitter are in the description, so go follow and subscribe to him.
Don't do that.
Yeah, there's nothing for Jeb in the description because Jeb suspended from Twitter and he still hasn't started making videos. So
yeah, I'm lazy. You're welcome, guys.
Damn.
Yeah, my channel's also in the description. Hopefully I'll have a Supernatural video this week talking about the finale, and it's the worst episode of the entire show. So yeah, that's gonna be fun to talk about. I've recorded like half of the video already, edited quite a bit as well in terms of clips and everything, so that should be fun to release. I think the editing is coming along pretty well, so check that out when it's live. And yeah, thanks everyone for watching. We'll catch you guys later. Bye.